Imagine standing before a colossal structure, an ancient marvel so massive, its origins defy explanation. These are the remnants of civilizations long lost to time, yet the sheer scale and precision of their construction hint at a knowledge far beyond what we believed possible. Monumental stone blocks, intricately placed with an engineering sophistication that modern architects still struggle to comprehend. These are the megastructures of our prehistoric past, structures that shouldn't exist. How could ancient people, with no advanced tools or machinery, have created these awe-inspiring works? Were they guided by forgotten wisdom or something more mysterious? Some of these structures are buried beneath layers of earth, hidden for millennia, only to be uncovered in our time, leaving us to wonder, what was their true purpose? The questions mount as we peer into the shadows of history. Was it the work of a lost civilization, or did something more profound shape these structures? So sit back, relax, and let's explore these extraordinary, mind-bending wonders that history has left behind, seeking answers that may forever remain just out of reach. Nestled in the rolling hills of the Argolid region of Greece, overlooking the modern town of Mycenae, lies a site that has captivated archaeologists, historians, and dreamers alike for over a century: the Tholos tombs. These monumental structures, often referred to as beehive tombs for their distinctive shape, are the silent witnesses to a forgotten age, one that is both familiar and shrouded in enigma. They stand in stark contrast to the rugged, sun-drenched landscape, their weathered stone walls rising high above the earth as though daring us to uncover their secrets. The Tholos tombs were constructed during the height of the Mycenaean civilization, which flourished between 1600 and 1100 BCE. These tombs were not merely burial places, but powerful symbols of the elite and the gods themselves, housing the remains of royalty, warriors, and possibly even high-ranking priests. Each tomb is an architectural feat, built with enormous stones, some weighing several tons, arranged in a manner so precise that even modern engineers marvel at the craftsmanship. The entrance, framed by massive lintels, leads into a narrow corridor that opens into a domed chamber, the roof of which is constructed using a technique known as the corbel arch, a remarkable engineering achievement for its time. The largest and most famous of these tombs is the so-called Treasury of Etruria, which is often considered the pinnacle of Mycenaean architectural innovation. Its diameter, an impressive 14.6 meters, and the height of its roof, which once soared over 13 meters above the ground, are testament to the ambition of its builders. But it is not just the size and construction that intrigue us. It is the very nature of these tombs that raises questions. Why were they built with such extraordinary care and complexity? And why are their purposes still debated by scholars, despite the wealth of artifacts and evidence uncovered within them? In the mainstream narrative, these tombs are understood to be the final resting places of Mycenaean elites, their grand design reflecting their status and the belief in an afterlife that transcended the mortal realm. The Mycenaeans, influenced by the more ancient Minoan civilization, had a deep connection to the afterlife, and it is clear that these tombs were built to honor the dead in a manner befitting their high rank. Indeed, the treasures found within these tombs, golden cups, intricately designed weapons, and decorative objects, suggest that the Mycenaeans believed in sending their rulers off with symbols of power and wealth, possibly to accompany them into the next life. Yet, despite the wealth of material evidence, there are aspects of these tombs that remain baffling. The precise methods by which they were constructed, for instance, continue to puzzle experts. No written records from the Mycenaean period have survived to explain how the builders managed to transport and position such colossal stones. Some suggest that the stones were hauled from distant quarries using sledges and ropes, while others propose more elaborate theories, including the use of levers and counterweights. But even with these plausible explanations, there is something deeply mysterious about the precision of the construction. How did they achieve such perfect alignment, especially considering the lack of advanced tools and measuring instruments? Moreover, the purpose of the Tholos tombs has long been a subject of speculation. While most archaeologists agree that they were burial sites, others have raised alternative theories. Could these tombs have had a more ceremonial function, serving as focal points for rituals that transcended simple funerary practices? Some even suggest that they might have been used for the worship of deities, with the grandiose architecture symbolizing the connection between the mortal and divine realms. Could these tombs have been designed not just as final resting places, but as places of power, where the living could commune with the dead, and where the very structure itself might have been imbued with symbolic meaning far beyond mere death? As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Tholos tombs, we encounter a more tantalizing possibility. Were these tombs inspired by influences beyond the Mycenaeans themselves? Evidence of far-reaching trade networks, spanning from Egypt to Mesopotamia, suggests that the Mycenaeans were not isolated, but were in contact with some of the most advanced civilizations of the ancient world. Could the design of the Tholos tombs have been influenced by ancient Egyptian pyramid architecture, or perhaps even by distant Eastern traditions? While there is no direct evidence linking the Mycenaeans to Egypt or the Near East in the construction of their tombs, the striking similarities in the use of monumental stonework raises intriguing questions. Did the builders of the Tholos tombs share knowledge with distant cultures? Or is it simply the case that ancient civilizations across the globe independently arrived at similar architectural solutions to their common challenges? Perhaps one of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the Tholos tombs is the question of their alignment. Many of these tombs are oriented in ways that suggest a deliberate relationship to celestial bodies. The entrance to the treasury of Atreus, for example, is aligned with the rising sun during certain times of the year, pointing to the possibility that the Mycenaeans were deeply concerned with the movement of the heavens and its connection to their beliefs about life, death, and rebirth. Could the tombs have been built to align with specific astronomical events, marking the passage of time or the arrival of important celestial phenomena? And if so, why? The fact that these tombs have endured for over 3,000 years, weathered by time and natural forces, only adds to their mystique. Though much has been uncovered, jewel-encrusted artifacts, elaborately carved frescoes, and burial objects, they still withhold some of their deepest secrets. What else might lie buried within their stone walls, waiting to be discovered? Or perhaps the true purpose of these tombs lies beyond the material, in the very essence of the mystery they evoke. As we stand before the Tholos tombs today, we are left to wonder, were these structures merely elaborate tombs, or were they something more? Are they the product of an advanced civilization with knowledge and beliefs that we can barely begin to understand? And as we peel back the layers of history, will we ever uncover the full story of the Mycenaeans and their monumental legacy? The mystery, it seems, is far from solved, and the echoes of the past continue to call to us from within the stone. As we move from the ancient world of Mycenae to the rugged deserts of the American Southwest, we find ourselves at another site that defies easy explanation. Here, in the high desert of northwestern New Mexico, lies the ancient and mysterious Chaco Canyon, a place that has puzzled archaeologists, historians, and indigenous cultures for centuries. Surrounded by an arid landscape of red sandstone and sagebrush, Chaco Canyon is home to one of the most impressive and enigmatic collections of prehistoric ruins in North America. Its sprawling, complex architecture, aligned with celestial events and built with a precision that seems to transcend the capabilities of its builders, leaves us with more questions than answers. At first glance, Chaco Canyon might appear to be a desolate and unremarkable part of the desert. But as you step closer to its ancient stone structures, you begin to realize the magnitude of what once stood here. The canyon itself is deceptively large, stretching across several miles, its floor dotted with the remains of enormous stone buildings, great houses, and ceremonial chambers. These structures, some of which rise 4 stories high, were constructed with millions of sandstone blocks, quarried and shaped with remarkable precision. The ruins of these buildings speak to a level of social organization and architectural expertise that seem at odds with the relatively primitive tools of the time. But it is not just their size or complexity that leaves us in awe. What truly sets Chaco Canyon apart is the mystery of its purpose and the seemingly supernatural connection it has to the stars above. The Chacoans, as the people who inhabited this region are known, lived here between 850 and 1250 CE. During this time, they constructed a series of monumental structures known as great houses that served as centers for politics, religion, and commerce. These great houses, such as the massive Pueblo Bonito, which contains over 600 rooms, are testament to the Chacoans' remarkable engineering skills and their ability to organize large-scale construction projects. At its peak, Chaco Canyon was likely the center of a vast trading network, stretching across much of the southwestern United States, with goods such as turquoise, macaw feathers, and exotic seashells making their way into the canyon from distant lands. But while the Chacoans' material culture is relatively well understood, much about their civilization remains shrouded in mystery. Perhaps the most perplexing aspect of Chaco Canyon is its apparent relationship with the cosmos. The canyon's structures are carefully aligned with solar, lunar, and stellar phenomena, suggesting that the Chacoans placed great significance on the movements of the heavens. The most striking example of this astronomical alignment is the Sun Dagger, a petroglyph located at Fajada Butte, one of the prominent landmarks of the canyon. Here, sunlight strikes a series of rock slabs in such a way that it creates a dagger of light during the solstices and equinoxes, casting an image on the rock wall that seems to track the passage of time. It is clear that the Chacoans understood celestial mechanics with an accuracy that would be impressive even by modern standards. This alignment with celestial events raises questions about the purpose of Chaco Canyon. Was it simply a trading hub, or did it also serve as a site for astronomical observation and religious ceremony? Some researchers speculate that Chaco Canyon was a place of pilgrimage, where people from distant communities traveled to observe the stars and participate in rituals tied to the heavens. The layout of the great houses, with their precise alignments and the use of the canyon's natural features, suggests that the Chacoans may have seen the landscape itself as an instrument of cosmic order. But beyond these hypotheses, there is no definitive explanation for why such an elaborate, star-centered culture developed in this remote desert region. Adding to the mystery is the sudden and unexplained decline of the Chacoan civilization. By the end of the 12th century, the people who had once flourished here began to abandon the canyon in large numbers. Some theorists suggest that a prolonged drought, coupled with the strain of overpopulation and resource depletion, may have led to the collapse of the society. Others point to internal social conflict, while still others propose that the departure was tied to a cultural or religious shift, one that prompted the Chacoans to move away from their once great center. What is most intriguing, however, is that despite the apparent collapse, the ruins of Chaco Canyon remained a sacred site for centuries after the Chacoans had left, with many later Native American tribes, such as the Navajo and Hopi, attributing spiritual significance to the canyon. In the years following the abandonment of Chaco Canyon, the ruins were largely forgotten, until their rediscovery in the 19th century. Since then, archaeologists have worked to unravel the mysteries of the site, using everything from careful excavation to advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar. But despite these efforts, much about Chaco Canyon remains an enigma. The precise methods used to construct its buildings, the exact nature of the Chacoans' astronomical knowledge, and the reasons for their sudden disappearance are all questions that continue to elude conclusive answers. One of the most compelling mysteries of Chaco Canyon, however, lies in the possibility of a lost knowledge, an understanding of the cosmos and the landscape that was perhaps more profound than we can comprehend. Some have suggested that the Chacoans' astronomical knowledge may have been passed down through oral traditions or hidden in sacred sites, waiting to be rediscovered. Could the canyon's carefully designed architecture and celestial alignments be a legacy of a once advanced culture whose secrets have been lost to time? The idea that Chaco Canyon was more than just a series of ancient ruins is also supported by a growing body of fringe theories. Some have proposed that Chaco Canyon was not just a center for observation, but a place of ritualistic power, where the Chacoans conducted ceremonies that were meant to align the forces of nature with human affairs. Others point to the possibility that the canyon was somehow connected to ancient knowledge from far-off lands, Egypt, Mesoamerica, or even more speculative sources. Could the Chacons have been in contact with other ancient civilizations, exchanging knowledge about the stars and the Earth? Or did they develop these sophisticated ideas independently as part of a broader human tendency to seek meaning in the cosmos? As we stand before the ruins of Chaco Canyon today, the questions continue to linger. What secrets remain hidden beneath the layers of sand and stone? What knowledge was lost when the Chacoans disappeared, and what, if anything, might still be waiting to be uncovered? Perhaps the answers lie not just in the stones themselves, but in the very landscape that surrounds us, an ancient desert, silent and waiting, holding within it the echoes of a civilization that reached for the stars. As we leave the desert sands of Chaco Canyon behind, our journey takes us across the vast expanse of the Mediterranean to the rolling hills and ancient landscapes of central Italy, where, hidden beneath the earth, lies one of the most intriguing and mysterious remnants of an ancient civilization. Here, in the region of Etruria, the colossal stone tombs of the Etruscans stand as silent sentinels to a forgotten past. These monumental burial sites, some of the largest and most elaborate of their kind in the ancient world, hold within them not only the remains of a once thriving culture, but also secrets that continue to puzzle historians, archaeologists, and even the descendants of the people who once built them. The Etruscans, who lived in central Italy from the 8th century BCE until their eventual absorption into the Roman Empire around the 3rd century BCE, were a people of remarkable sophistication. While much of their civilization remains shrouded in mystery, what is known is that they were expert builders, engineers, and artists, leaving behind impressive tombs, vast city plans, and intricately painted murals. Among the most striking of their legacies are the vast necropolises that dot the region, the largest and most famous of which can be found in the province of Tarquinia. The tombs of Etruria are unlike anything else in the ancient world. Carved into the rocky hillsides, they resemble miniature cities in their own right. The tombs are typically made of massive stone blocks, and many are shaped like small temples or even entire homes, complete with rooms and passageways designed to replicate the spaces the Etruscans inhabited in life. These structures were not just simple burial chambers, but monumental creations meant to honor the dead and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. The elaborate nature of these tombs, combined with the sheer scale of their construction, raises an obvious question. Why did the Etruscans go to such extraordinary lengths to build these tombs, and what exactly were they trying to convey through their design? One of the most striking features of the Etruscan tombs is their incredible size. Some of these tombs are so large that they could house entire families, and some were built with multiple levels and vast chambers. The Tomb of the Reliefs in Cerveteri, for example, is renowned for its remarkable stone carvings that adorn the walls, depicting everyday items and animals, tools, weapons, and even instruments of music, suggesting that the Etruscans believed these objects would accompany the deceased into the next world. The tomb itself is a labyrinthine structure, with chambers extending deep into the hillside, and it's believed that these tombs were intended to represent not just the afterlife, but a continuation of life itself. Yet, despite the scale and detail of these tombs, many aspects of their construction remain perplexing. The sheer labor required to carve and transport the massive stones is astonishing. Some of the largest blocks weigh several tons, and it is still unclear how the Etruscans, without the use of advanced tools or machinery, were able to move and precisely position these stones with such accuracy. Could they have had knowledge of lost engineering techniques? Or did they possess tools and methods that we simply have yet to understand? The questions about how these tombs were built and what motivated their creators are as enduring as the tombs themselves. But it is not just the physical construction of these tombs that presents a mystery. It is also their symbolic meaning. Like the Tholos tombs of Mycenae, the Etruscan tombs are believed to have had profound religious and spiritual significance. The Etruscans were deeply connected to the divine, and their tombs are thought to reflect their belief in the afterlife, a place where the deceased would continue to interact with the living, ensuring the prosperity of their family and community. The murals that decorate the tomb walls often depict scenes of feasts, music, and dance, suggesting that the afterlife was not a somber or isolated existence, but one of celebration and communion with the gods. But what exactly did the Etruscans envision when they looked to the beyond? Was it a literal interpretation of life after death, or was it something more esoteric, an ethereal connection between the realms of the living and the divine? In addition to the mysteries surrounding the tomb's construction and spiritual purpose, there is also the matter of the tomb's astronomical alignments. Much like the ancient structures of Chaco Canyon, many of the Etruscan tombs are carefully aligned with celestial events, solstices, equinoxes, and specific stars. The tombs at Tarquinia, for example, are thought to have been positioned in relation to the rising sun at certain times of the year, potentially marking important events in the Etruscan religious calendar. Could these alignments have been a means of connecting the tombs with the heavens, a way for the Etruscans to ensure that their ancestors remained in tune with the cosmic rhythms? Or was this celestial alignment part of a broader ritualistic practice, one that tied the earthbound tombs to the vastness of the universe? As if the astronomical and spiritual mysteries were not enough, another question arises. Why were these tombs constructed to such extraordinary proportions? While it is true that many ancient cultures built monumental tombs, few can match the sheer ambition and complexity of the Etruscan tombs. Were these structures meant to demonstrate the wealth and power of the Etruscan elite? Or was there something deeper at play? A desire to create a permanent connection between the living and the dead, a bridge that would span the gap between two worlds. In this context, the tombs may not have been merely a means of burial, but a statement of eternal presence, a way for the dead to continue to influence the living. Some researchers, influenced by fringe theories, have even proposed that the Etruscans were in possession of lost knowledge from ancient civilizations, potentially even extraterrestrial sources. While such ideas remain speculative at best, they raise an intriguing possibility. Could the Etruscans have had access to a form of knowledge, whether through trade, cultural exchange, or other means, that allowed them to build on a scale far beyond what we can currently explain? Whatever the true purpose and origin of these tombs, one thing is certain. They are more than just the final resting places of the dead. They are enduring symbols of a civilization that saw death not as an end, but as a continuation, a journey into another world where the past and present coexisted in harmony. As we walk among the towering stone structures and gaze at the intricate carvings, the question remains: what secrets do these tombs still hold? What knowledge, hidden beneath the stones, might yet be revealed? And what truths about the Etruscans' worldview are we still unable to understand? The mystery of the Etruscan tombs endures, inviting us to keep searching for the answers that may lie buried in the hills of ancient Etruria. As we move from the ancient stone tombs of Etruria to the dense jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, we encounter another awe-inspiring structure that has long baffled historians and archaeologists. Here, amid the sprawling ruins of the ancient Maya city of Chichen Itza, lies a building that speaks not just to the ingenuity of its builders, but to a profound understanding of the cosmos: El Caracol, the Snail Observatory. The name El Caracol comes from the spiral staircase that leads up to the roof of this circular structure, but it is the structure's purpose that truly captivates us. Unlike the imposing pyramids or grand temples of Chichen Itza, El Caracol is a quieter, more subtle monument, an observatory that seems almost hidden in plain sight. It stands not far from the towering Pyramid of Kukulkan, yet it often goes overlooked by those drawn to the city's more famous landmarks. But El Caracol's purpose is no less remarkable. It is a testament to the Mayas' sophisticated knowledge of astronomy, an intricate piece of a puzzle that connects the ancient world to the heavens. At first glance, El Caracol seems like any other stone structure, circular in shape, with windows that open to the sky and a small platform on top. But it is the alignment of these openings that raises questions. Situated carefully within the complex layout of Chichen Itza, the observatory was designed with a specific purpose: to track the movements of celestial bodies, including the planets, stars, and the moon. The Maya, who were masters of both mathematics and the natural world, used these celestial observations to create incredibly accurate calendars, guiding their agricultural practices, religious ceremonies, and social structures. The building itself is surprisingly small, but its purpose is grand. Its circular design is a rarity in Maya architecture, as most of the city's buildings feature angular forms. But El Caracol's unique shape is not merely an aesthetic choice. It was intentionally constructed to facilitate the study of the stars. At the top of the building, windows were precisely placed so that the rising and setting positions of specific celestial bodies, like Venus, could be tracked over time. The Maya used Venus, which they associated with the god Kukulkan, to time important events in their religious and agricultural calendars, and the observatory provided them with the means to do so. However, the true extent of the knowledge embedded within El Caracol is not fully understood. Archaeologists have long debated the exact nature of its astronomical functions. While it is clear that the Maya used the observatory to track celestial events, the methods by which they made their observations remain shrouded in mystery. How did they achieve such precise alignments with only rudimentary tools? And what prompted the Maya to construct such a specialized building? Was it a simple functional necessity, or was there a deeper, spiritual purpose behind its creation? Some scholars believe that the structure's design was not just practical, but also symbolic. Could El Caracol have been a place of ritual, a space where the Maya communed with the gods through their observations of the heavens? The Maya were deeply religious, and their understanding of the cosmos was inextricably linked to their beliefs. For them, the movements of the stars were not just scientific phenomena, but divine messages that shaped their understanding of the world. This raises the question: was El Caracol more than just an observatory? Could it have been a sacred space where the Maya sought to align themselves with the cosmos, to understand the will of the gods and guide their civilization accordingly? Adding to the mystery is the observatory's curious alignment with Venus. The Maya closely observed Venus's cycles, seeing it as a harbinger of important events, such as the beginning of warfare, agricultural seasons, and religious ceremonies. Some even speculate that El Caracol was specifically constructed to mark the movements of Venus, aligning its windows with the planet's heliacal risings and settings. But why such a strong focus on this particular celestial body? Was Venus merely a tool for marking time, or was there a deeper, more profound meaning attached to its movement in the sky? Intriguingly, the Maya were not the only ancient culture to assign special significance to Venus. In other parts of the world, Venus was also revered as a symbol of fertility, rebirth, and cosmic balance. Could there have been a shared ancient understanding of Venus, a cosmic knowledge passed down through distant cultures, perhaps even to the Maya themselves? This idea is speculative, of course, but it invites us to consider whether ancient civilizations, separated by vast distances and time, might have shared a common thread of astronomical knowledge, one that we have yet to fully comprehend. One of the most fascinating aspects of El Caracol is the ongoing mystery of its construction. While the Maya are known for their sophisticated understanding of architecture and engineering, the sheer precision involved in the alignment of El Caracol raises questions. How did the Maya measure and chart the stars with such accuracy? Did they possess tools or methods lost to history? Some have suggested that they may have used a combination of simple instruments, like sighting rods or a gnomon, to track celestial bodies, while others believe that their observations were made purely through the naked eye, relying on a deep, intuitive understanding of the night sky. The fact that the Maya achieved such precision with seemingly basic tools is a testament to their skill, but it also leaves us wondering, what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to make such exacting measurements? Furthermore, the positioning of El Caracol within the larger context of Chichen Itza raises more questions about the city's layout and its purpose. Was Chichen Itza itself constructed with the cosmos in mind, with El Caracol serving as one of many astronomical markers within the city? Was the city's design itself an elaborate cosmic map guiding the Maya in their relationship with the heavens? The idea that the entire city was designed to reflect celestial alignments is a theory that continues to captivate researchers, suggesting that the Maya saw their city as a reflection of the universe itself, a place where the earthly and the divine intersected. Despite decades of study, much of the mystery surrounding El Caracol remains unsolved. While its purpose as an observatory is well established, the full extent of its significance, both scientifically and spiritually, remains elusive. Did it serve solely as a tool for tracking the stars, or was it something more profound, a place of cosmic communion? The exact methods by which the Maya constructed such a precise instrument for observing the heavens continue to elude us. And as we look up at the stars from the roof of El Caracol, the questions persist. What did the Maya truly know about the cosmos? And what, if anything, have we yet to uncover about the ancient knowledge embedded in this small but extraordinary observatory? The answers, it seems, are still waiting, hidden in the shadows of El Caracol, watching the stars as they have for centuries. As we shift from the ancient Maya observatories of El Caracol, we find ourselves drawn to the heart of a land that has fascinated humanity for millennia: Egypt. Here, among the arid desert sands, lies a colossal complex, one of the greatest and most enigmatic ever constructed, the Karnak Temple Complex. Located on the banks of the Nile in Luxor, Karnak is not merely a temple, but an entire city of stone, filled with massive pylons, towering obelisks, and intricately decorated walls. It was once the center of Egyptian religious life, dedicated primarily to the god Amun, and was a focal point of power, ritual, and mysticism. But even today, as we walk among its ruins, questions about its origins, construction, and purpose continue to linger. The first thing that strikes you upon entering Karnak is the sheer scale of the complex. It is not a single temple, but a sprawling collection of temples, chapels, pylons and sanctuaries, built and expanded over 2,000 years by a succession of pharaohs. The grandest of all is the Great Temple of Amun, a towering structure that seems to reach for the very sky. The central axis of the temple, lined with enormous columns, creates a pathway that draws the eye upward, leading to a massive sanctuary at its core. Here, the scale is not merely monumental, it is overwhelming. The Great Hypostyle Hall, with its 134 towering columns, is one of the most famous and awe-inspiring sights in all of Egypt. Each of these columns, some rising over 20 meters high, is carved with intricate hieroglyphs and scenes of pharaohs and gods, offering a glimpse into a world that seems both ancient and otherworldly. Yet, despite the splendor of the temple's construction, there remains something deeply mysterious about Karnak. How were such immense structures built? The stone blocks used in the temple's construction, some weighing many tons, were transported and placed with remarkable precision. How did the ancient Egyptians manage this without the advanced machinery and tools that we take for granted today? While many believe that simple ramps and levers were used to move the stones, there is no clear consensus on the methods employed, and the scale of the operation required raises further questions. Could the Egyptians have possessed a sophisticated understanding of engineering that we have yet to fully grasp? Or were there ancient techniques, now lost to time, that allowed for the construction of such monumental structures? Beyond the question of construction, the very design of Karnak is steeped in mystery. The temple complex is laid out in a way that seems almost deliberately aligned with celestial events, much like the ancient observatories we have already explored. The placement of certain structures, the alignment of temples with the movements of the sun and stars, and the use of light in ritual are all indicative of a deeper understanding of the cosmos. The Egyptians, of course, were renowned for their astronomical knowledge, and it is widely accepted that the placement of temples and monuments had symbolic and cosmic significance. But how precise was their knowledge? Were the Egyptians using the stars not just for religious or ceremonial purposes, but also as tools for understanding the very fabric of the universe itself? One of the most fascinating aspects of Karnak is its long history of continuous construction and expansion. The temple complex began as a modest structure during the Middle Kingdom, around 2000 BCE, but it was during the New Kingdom, circa 1550 to 1070 BCE, that it truly came into its own under the reigns of pharaohs like Thutmose III, Amenhotep III, and Ramses II. These rulers, driven by both religious devotion and a desire for political power, expanded the temple complex in ways that still resonate today. But why such a long and sustained effort? Was it simply the result of dynastic ambition? Or did the builders of Karnak believe that the temple was a living, breathing entity, one that could not be completed but only continuously perfected, as if it were a cosmic project that spanned lifetimes? As we delve deeper into the temple's mysteries, we encounter a question that has perplexed scholars for years: the role of the priests and their deep connection to the divine. The temple complex was not just a site for public worship, but also the home of a powerful priesthood that had a profound influence over the political and social life of ancient Egypt. The priests of Karnak were responsible for maintaining the temple, conducting rituals, and interpreting the will of the gods. They played a central role in shaping the temple's physical form, as well as its symbolic and ritualistic significance. What did they truly know about the cosmos? And did they possess secret knowledge that was passed down through generations, hidden from the public eye? This idea of hidden knowledge is further compounded by the extensive use of hieroglyphs and symbols throughout the complex. The walls of Karnak are adorned with intricate carvings that depict the achievements of pharaohs, gods, and divine interventions. These hieroglyphs are not only beautiful works of art, but also a form of communication that encoded spiritual and cosmic knowledge. But there is still much we do not understand about the meanings of these symbols. Could there be hidden messages within the hieroglyphs that have yet to be deciphered? Or perhaps the meanings were not meant to be understood by all, but only by those initiated into the mysteries of the priesthood? The idea that Karnak holds deeper, hidden layers of meaning waiting to be uncovered is one that continues to intrigue researchers and mystics alike. Another mystery lies in the scale of the labor involved in the construction of Karnak. The sheer number of workers, craftsmen, and laborers required to build such an enormous complex must have been staggering. Yet there is very little evidence of the workers themselves, no great records of the individuals who contributed to the temple's construction. Where did they come from, and what motivated them to dedicate their lives to such an endeavor? Was this work merely a form of religious devotion, or was there something more, perhaps a deeper, more cosmic connection between the builders and the divine? As we reflect on the wonders of Karnak, we are left with more questions than answers. The temple complex stands as a testament to the incredible achievements of ancient Egypt, but it also represents a riddle that has yet to be solved. How did the ancient Egyptians construct such grand structures with what we consider to be rudimentary tools? What was the true purpose behind the temple's design? Was it simply a place of worship, or was it a cosmic instrument, a way for the Egyptians to align themselves with the divine forces of the universe? And perhaps most intriguingly, what knowledge, hidden within the temple's walls, remains to be uncovered? As we stand amidst the towering columns and carved reliefs of Karnak, we are reminded that there is still much about the ancient world that remains shrouded in mystery. And as the sun sets over the Nile, casting long shadows over the ruins, we are left to wonder, what truths lie buried beneath the stones of Karnak waiting for us to discover? As we leave behind the grandiose monuments of Egypt and the intricate astronomical insights of the Maya, we journey to the vast plains of the Indus Valley, where the ruins of a once thriving civilization lie buried beneath the earth. Here, in what is now modern-day Pakistan, we encounter the enigmatic remains of the Harappa civilization, one of the oldest and most advanced urban societies in ancient history. Its story, though shrouded in mystery, is one of remarkable achievements in engineering, city planning, and trade. Yet it is also a civilization whose ultimate decline and disappearance still leaves us with more questions than answers. The Harappa ruins are scattered across the arid plains of the Punjab region, with the city of Harappa itself being one of the most significant archaeological sites. Like many ancient cities, it was built with a careful attention to both practicality and symbolism. The city was laid out in a precise grid pattern, with streets intersecting at right angles, and its buildings were constructed from baked brick, an unusual choice in an area where stone was scarce. The city's architectural layout was not just efficient but sophisticated, with evidence of advanced drainage systems, large public baths, and intricate reservoirs, all suggesting a highly organized society with a deep understanding of urban planning and sanitation. The Harappans were, in many ways, ahead of their time. The drainage system they created was particularly remarkable, thoroughly planned and incredibly effective, with covered drains running along every street and houses connected to this network. This would have been a true feat of engineering, requiring not only knowledge of water management but also a high degree of social coordination. Could the Harappans have had access to engineering principles that we have only rediscovered in recent centuries? Or were their methods perhaps based on lost knowledge, passed down through generations but now forgotten? Beyond their engineering prowess, the Harappans were also skilled in the arts, producing finely crafted pottery, figurines, and jewelry that have survived the millennia. Some of these artifacts depict intricate designs and symbols that suggest a rich cultural life. But what these symbols meant remains unclear. The Harappans did not leave behind a written language that we can decipher, making it difficult to understand the deeper meanings behind their art and architecture. What secrets might their symbols and carvings hold, if only we could unlock their language? Despite their impressive achievements, the Harappa civilization remains an enigma. Unlike other ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians or Mesopotamians, the Harappans left behind no grand myths or stories to explain their existence, nor do they have the same kind of monumental inscriptions that might provide insight into their rulers or religious beliefs. In fact, one of the most striking features of the Harappa ruins is the absence of palaces or temples, buildings that one might expect to find at the center of such an advanced civilization. Was their society truly egalitarian, with no central ruling authority? Or did they hide their power structures from view, keeping them concealed from the archaeological record? The absence of clear evidence for kings or priests raises intriguing possibilities about the nature of Harappan society. One of the most perplexing aspects of the Harappa civilization is its sudden and unexplained decline around 1900 BCE. At its peak, Harappa was part of a vast network of trade that extended across the Indian subcontinent and into the Near East. The civilization flourished for centuries, with its cities interconnected by a complex system of roads and waterways. Yet, in a relatively short span of time, many of the Harappan cities were abandoned, their once thriving marketplaces and bustling streets falling silent. What caused the collapse of such a sophisticated society? Some scholars believe that environmental factors, such as a shifting river course or prolonged drought, may have disrupted the region's agricultural economy, leading to a gradual decline. Others propose that invasions or internal social unrest may have played a role. But the truth remains elusive, and the suddenness of the collapse adds an eerie sense of finality to the mystery of Harappa. Interestingly, some fringe theories have proposed more speculative explanations for the civilization's disappearance. Some suggest that the Harappans possessed advanced technologies, perhaps even forms of energy or communication, far beyond what we can comprehend, and that these were somehow lost or deliberately abandoned. Others have suggested that the Harappans may have been part of a global network of ancient civilizations, sharing knowledge with cultures as far afield as Egypt or Mesoamerica. Could it be that the Harappans were a link in a vast chain of knowledge that spanned the ancient world? A chain that was broken for reasons we are yet to understand? As we walk through the ruins of Harappa today, it's impossible not to feel a sense of wonder at the scale and sophistication of what once was. The remnants of the city's walls, its elaborate drainage systems, and the layout of its streets all speak to a people who were capable of monumental achievements. Yet, there is still so much we do not know. What was the true purpose of the mysterious seals found throughout Harappa, some of which depict animals, geometric shapes, and symbols that have never been fully explained? Were they merely decorative, or did they have a deeper, more practical significance? Perhaps linked to trade, religion, or a system of governance? And what of the Harappan script, which remains undeciphered despite decades of attempts? Could it hold the key to understanding their society's beliefs, rituals, or daily life? Perhaps the most intriguing mystery of all is the question of who the Harappans were. What kind of people could create such a sophisticated civilization and then leave behind so little in the way of records or stories? Were they a peaceful society, as some have suggested, or did they harbor secrets that were never meant to be uncovered? The lack of clear evidence for warfare or conquest raises questions about the nature of their power, and the absence of monumental monuments or burial sites suggests a different kind of culture, one that valued practicality over grandeur. As we ponder the ruins of Harappa, we are left with a sense of awe and uncertainty. The Harappan civilization was undeniably advanced, but its ultimate fate remains shrouded in mystery. Were the Harappans the product of an extraordinary burst of cultural and technological innovation, Or were they the inheritors of knowledge passed down from an even older, forgotten civilization? What secrets still lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? And as we uncover more of their ancient cityscape, will we ever truly understand who they were, or what led to their sudden disappearance? The mysteries of Harappa, it seems, are as vast and deep as the ruins themselves. From the sun-drenched ruins of the Harappa civilization, we travel north to the wind-swept shores of Orkney, a group of islands off the northern coast of Scotland, where another mysterious site quietly waits for discovery. Here, buried beneath layers of earth and sand, lies Skara Brae, one of the most remarkable and well-preserved prehistoric settlements in Europe, a place that offers us a rare and intimate glimpse into a distant past, yet also raises more questions than answers. Skara Brae is not just another ancient village, it is a time capsule. Hidden from view for thousands of years, this Neolithic settlement was uncovered in the mid-19th century after a powerful storm swept across the island, exposing the stone dwellings beneath. What emerged from the sand was a complex of houses, constructed entirely from stone, expertly built, and surprisingly modern in design for its time. The fact that Skara Brae is so well preserved, with its stone walls still standing, its furniture and tools intact, and its layout so clearly defined, gives us an unparalleled opportunity to step back in time. As you wander through the site today, it's as if the people who lived there might have just left, their fires still smoldering in the hearths, their belongings undisturbed. The settlement consists of 8 houses, each connected by a series of narrow passageways. These houses are surprisingly sophisticated for their era, with stone-built furniture such as beds, shelves, and storage containers built directly into the walls. The interiors are compact, functional, and starkly utilitarian, yet they bear the marks of a culture that understood how to harness their environment. The homes are carefully constructed, with well-fitted stonework that demonstrates a surprising degree of craftsmanship. Each house is built with a central hearth, around which daily life would have revolved. There are no windows, only small doorways. But the homes are well ventilated, a testament to the ingenuity of the builders. Yet, for all its precision and practicality, Skara Brae is not easily understood. The people who built and lived here, whom we know little about, are a mystery. They were part of the Neolithic period, around 5,000 years ago, a time when humans were transitioning from a nomadic lifestyle to settled farming communities. But Skara Brae's residents were not just farmers. They were skilled builders, and their homes reflect a deep understanding of their environment. The site's design, while simple, shows a high degree of planning. For example, the fact that the houses are clustered together in a deliberate arrangement, forming a semicircular shape, suggests that the layout had some kind of communal or social significance, though what that might have been is unclear. The real mystery of Skara Brae, however, lies in the question of who these people were and what brought them to this isolated spot on the edge of the world. How did they come to settle on Orkney? An archipelago with harsh winters, relentless winds, and an unpredictable climate. The people of Skara Brae had access to a variety of resources. They farmed crops, raised animals, and fished in the surrounding waters. They also crafted pottery, jewelry, and tools from stone and bone. But despite their apparent skill, there is no evidence that they had any form of writing or records to explain their way of life, their beliefs, or their social structure. What drove them to build this complex settlement, and why here, on these remote islands? One of the most intriguing features of Skara Brae is the fact that, unlike many other prehistoric sites, it does not appear to have had any significant burial grounds. In most Neolithic villages, we would expect to find evidence of burial practices, graves, tombs, or at least ritualistic markers, but at Skara Brae, there is nothing. The absence of burials raises an important question. Were the people of Skara Brae's spiritual beliefs different from other Neolithic communities? Was there something unique about their approach to death and the afterlife? Could it be that they practiced some form of ancestor worship that left no material trace? Or perhaps they had a belief system that did not require physical markers at all? Adding to the mystery of Skara Brae is the question of how it was abandoned. Archaeologists can tell us that Skara Brae was inhabited for several centuries, but like so many ancient settlements, it eventually went silent. The reasons for its abandonment are not entirely understood. Theories range from environmental changes, such as rising sea levels or soil degradation, to social upheaval or changes in trade patterns. Some have even suggested that a dramatic climate shift, perhaps a period of extreme cold, could have made life unsustainable in the area. But no definitive cause has been found, and the lack of written records leaves us with only speculation. What caused this thriving community to disappear so suddenly, and why did they leave their homes and possessions behind as if in a hurry? There are also questions about the broader context of Skara Brae within the prehistoric world. The Orkney Islands, though geographically isolated, were not cut off from the wider world. Archaeological evidence suggests that trade routes connected the islands to mainland Scotland, and beyond that, to Ireland and possibly even farther afield. The people of Skara Brae were part of a broader cultural landscape, one that shared ideas, technologies, and materials across great distances. Was Skara Brae simply an isolated example of a wider Neolithic tradition? Or did its builders possess knowledge or techniques that were unique, advanced, or even lost to time? Some speculative theories even hint at the idea that the people of Skara Brae might have been part of a lost civilization, one that predated other known cultures of the Neolithic period. Could they have had access to advanced construction techniques that were either forgotten or lost during their migration away from the islands? Could they have been influenced by, or even part of, another, more ancient culture whose influence is now lost to history? These ideas remain fringe theories, but they raise intriguing questions about the origins of Skara Brae and its place in the broader history of human development. And then there is the question of the relationship between the people of Skara Brae and the natural world around them. The settlement is perfectly situated near natural resources, water, fertile land for farming, and proximity to the sea for fishing. Yet, there's a sense that the people of Skara Brae were intimately tied to the land in a way that many other prehistoric communities were not. Could there have been a spiritual or religious connection between the people and the land they inhabited? Or perhaps there is an undiscovered aspect of their culture, some missing piece that would help us understand their deep connection to the Orkney Islands. As we stand among the ruins of Skara Brae today, the stone walls and empty rooms seem to speak of a civilization lost to time, a people whose lives and stories remain untold. The site is a treasure trove of clues, yet it also holds its secrets close. What drove these people to create such a well-planned, sophisticated settlement? What do their abandoned homes and untouched tools tell us about their beliefs and way of life? And what, if anything, might still lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? As we look out across the windswept landscape of Orkney, the mystery of Skara Brae remains unsolved, its secrets hidden in the silence of ancient stone. From the windswept islands of Scotland, we journey west across the vast expanse of the ocean to the arid plains of Peru. Here, nestled in the shadow of the Andean mountains, lies one of the oldest and most enigmatic sites in all of South America, the Pyramids of Caral. Situated within the Soup Valley, this ancient complex, which predates the Egyptian pyramids by over 1,000 years, remains one of the most mysterious and significant archaeological discoveries of the 21st century. At first glance, the site appears to be an unlikely candidate for one of the world's earliest great civilizations. The landscape is harsh and unforgiving, with little in the way of natural resources. Yet, despite the seemingly inhospitable environment, the Caral civilization flourished here, building monumental structures that defy easy explanation. The Pyramids of Caral, with their distinctive stepped platforms and expansive plazas, form the centerpiece of the site. These massive pyramids, constructed from local stone and adobe, rise from the desert floor, their worn faces still bearing the marks of centuries of wind and erosion. They are not as towering as the pyramids of Egypt, but their sheer scale is nonetheless awe-inspiring, reminding us that ancient cultures, separated by vast distances and time, shared a similar drive to create monumental structures that would endure long after their creators were gone. What makes the Pyramids of Caral particularly remarkable is the sophistication of the civilization that built them. Caral is part of a larger cultural tradition known as the Norte Chico, or Andean civilization, which thrived around 5,000 years ago, between 3000 and 1800 BCE. This was a time when most of the world's civilizations were still in the early stages of agriculture and social development. Yet, here in the Soup Valley, the Caral people had already developed complex architectural techniques, organized labor systems, and an extensive trade network. The site contains 6 massive pyramids, as well as a series of plazas, temples, and residences. Each pyramid was meticulously designed, aligned with the cardinal directions, and built to last, reflecting an advanced understanding of both engineering and the spiritual significance of their surroundings. Perhaps most striking is the fact that Caral was one of the first known civilizations to build monumental architecture without the use of ceramics. Unlike other ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians or the Mesopotamians, the Caral civilization did not develop pottery or ceramics, which leaves us with a peculiar gap in their material culture. How did they manage to create such sophisticated structures without this basic technology? Was there a different method of construction they employed that we simply have not yet uncovered? Or were their materials and techniques so radically different that they left behind little evidence of their methods? The pyramids themselves are built on a vast scale, with the largest of them rising to a height of approximately 20 meters. These pyramids were not just monumental structures, they also served as ceremonial centers for the Caral people. Evidence suggests that they were used for religious and political rituals, perhaps tied to the worship of nature gods or celestial bodies. The alignment of the pyramids with the cardinal directions indicates a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, which was central to many ancient cultures. But did the Caral people possess astronomical knowledge that was equal to or even surpassed by other ancient civilizations? What did they know about the movements of the stars and planets, and how did they incorporate this knowledge into the design of their pyramids? While the physical remains of Caral are impressive, it is the absence of other cultural markers that raises the most questions. Unlike other ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians or the Maya, the Caral people left behind no written language, no elaborate tombs or royal iconography, and no obvious evidence of warfare. In fact, one of the most intriguing aspects of Caral is the apparent lack of conflict. There is no evidence of weapons, fortifications, or violent warfare, which was a common feature in many other ancient societies. Was this a peaceful society? Or is it possible that their culture simply left behind no trace of violence? The absence of such markers has led some to speculate that the Caral civilization may have been different in its social structure, perhaps more egalitarian and focused on cooperation rather than conquest. Despite the absence of written records, the Caral people did leave behind other clues that hint at the nature of their civilization. Archaeological excavations have uncovered a wealth of artifacts, including intricate textiles, tools, and musical instruments. One of the most significant discoveries was the presence of flutes made from bone, suggesting that music played a role in Caral's religious and social rituals. The musical instruments found at Caral are among the oldest in the Americas, and their discovery raises fascinating questions about the role of music in the spiritual life of the Caral people. Were these instruments used in ceremonies to honor the gods or to communicate with the forces of nature? Did music serve as a form of social cohesion, bringing the community together for collective rituals? These unanswered questions only add to the mystery of Caral, leaving us to wonder about the deeper meanings embedded within the artifacts they left behind. One of the most perplexing aspects of Caral is the question of its sudden disappearance. By 1800 BCE, the civilization had collapsed, and the once thriving urban center was abandoned. The reasons for this decline remain unclear. Some archaeologists believe that environmental factors, such as changing river patterns or a prolonged drought, may have played a role in the downfall of Caral. Others speculate that internal social factors, such as a breakdown in political or religious structures, could have contributed to the civilization's collapse. There are even more speculative theories, such as the idea that Caral was part of a larger global network of ancient civilizations, and that its disappearance was linked to a broader societal shift that affected multiple cultures across the world. But despite ongoing research, no definitive explanation has emerged for the fall of Caral. The lack of definitive answers only deepens the mystery surrounding this ancient civilization. Were the Caral people an isolated culture, or were they part of a broader global network of prehistoric civilizations? Could their advanced architectural and astronomical knowledge have been the result of influences from other ancient cultures, or was it developed independently, based on a different worldview and set of priorities? And perhaps most intriguingly, what was the true purpose of their monumental pyramids? Were these structures built solely for religious and ceremonial purposes, or did they serve another function? One that remains hidden from us to this day. As we stand among the ruins of Caral, the winds of the Andean mountains carry with them whispers of a lost civilization, one that was both ahead of its time and deeply connected to the natural world. The pyramids rise silently against the backdrop of a vast desert, their secrets still waiting to be uncovered. What lies beneath the stone and earth, still buried and waiting to be discovered? What knowledge, passed down through the ages, might one day be revealed? For now, the Pyramids of Caral remain a testament to a civilization whose story is only partially known, a mystery that continues to captivate and challenge us. As we leave the arid plains of Peru and travel to the eastern reaches of the ancient world, we find ourselves on the high plateaus of the Golan Heights, where the mysterious stone circles of el-Hiri rise from the landscape, weathered by centuries, but still commanding attention. Here, in northern Israel, the echoes of a forgotten civilization linger in the form of a massive and enigmatic megalithic structure, one that has puzzled archaeologists and historians for decades. Unlike other ancient sites, el-Hiri's purpose and the identity of its builders remain shrouded in mystery, offering little more than a handful of clues, some of which have only deepened the intrigue. el-Hiri, also known as the Golan Heights Stone Circle, is an immense stone structure that covers an area of over 500 square meters. The site consists of large concentric rings of basalt stones, which form a complex and impressive arrangement centered around a central mound. The outermost ring is the largest, composed of massive stones, each weighing several tons, arranged meticulously in a pattern that radiates outward. The center of the structure is dominated by a large mound, possibly a burial site or a ceremonial space, surrounded by smaller circles and corridors of stones. The site's design, its layout, and the size of the stones suggest a level of sophistication in construction that challenges the conventional understanding of the period. What makes el-Hiri particularly intriguing is the lack of clear evidence regarding the civilization that built it. Radiocarbon dating has suggested that the site dates back to around 3000 BCE, a time when many ancient cultures were beginning to settle into agricultural lifestyles and build more permanent structures. But unlike other megalithic sites, such as Stonehenge in England or the Pyramids of Egypt, the purpose of Rujm el-Hiri remains elusive. While scholars have suggested that it may have been a burial site or an astronomical observatory, no definitive explanation has emerged to satisfy all the questions it raises. The location of Rujm el-Hiri itself adds another layer of mystery. The site is situated in the Golan Heights, an area historically known for its rugged terrain and strategic importance. But the Golan Heights was not always the politically contentious region it is today. Thousands of years ago, it was a sparsely populated area, and yet, here, amidst the desolate landscape, a massive stone structure was constructed. Why would a civilization choose such a remote and difficult location to build something so grand? What was it about this site that made it worthy of such an extraordinary investment of labor and resources? Some archaeologists have suggested that Rujm el-Hiri might have been a place of ritual significance, perhaps used for religious ceremonies or as a center for worship. The central mound, with its mysterious purpose, could have served as a focal point for rituals, while the surrounding stone rings may have had symbolic or astronomical importance. The precision with which the stones are arranged raises the possibility that the builders of Rujm el-Hiri had an advanced understanding of astronomy and the movements of celestial bodies. Some have proposed that the structure was used to mark important solar or lunar events, similar to the way other ancient civilizations constructed stone circles to track the passage of time and the changing seasons. Could the builders of Rujm el-Hiri have used this site as a cosmic tool, aligning it with the stars or solstices in a way we have yet to fully understand? While these explanations are plausible, they remain speculative. There is no conclusive evidence to support the idea that Rujm el-Hiri was used solely for astronomical purposes. Additionally, the lack of written records from the time adds another layer of complexity to the mystery. Unlike the Egyptians or the Sumerians, the people who built Rujm el-Hiri left no inscriptions, no tablets, and no records that might provide insight into their beliefs or social structures. This absence of written language only deepens the enigma, forcing us to rely on the physical remnants of the site and the theories we can construct from them. There are other, more fringe theories that suggest Rujm el-Hiri could have served a completely different purpose. Some have speculated that it might have been a military site, perhaps built to defend against invaders or as a strategic lookout post. The site's location, perched on a plateau with sweeping views of the surrounding valleys, could have made it an ideal spot for surveillance. However, the lack of fortifications, weapons, or defensive structures makes this theory unlikely. Could the site have had a different function, one that we simply do not yet understand? Was Rujm el-Hiri part of a larger network of sacred or ceremonial sites across the region, perhaps used by a culture that left no other trace? Adding to the mystery is the fact that Rujm el-Hiri appears to have been deliberately abandoned at some point in history. The site shows signs of disuse and neglect, with many of the stones now toppled or displaced, and the central mound overgrown with vegetation. Was this a gradual decline, a result of environmental changes or shifts in social structures? Or was it a sudden, catastrophic event that led to the site's abandonment? The fact that the Golan Heights, once a remote and sparsely populated area, has seen so much military activity in the 20th and 21st centuries only adds to the sense of impermanence that surrounds Rujm el-Hiri. Could the region's history of conquest and conflict be connected in some way to the disappearance of the culture that built the site? The mystery of Rujm el-Hiri is further compounded by the fact that, unlike other ancient ruins, there is no clear record of the people who built it. The Golan Heights has long been inhabited by various peoples, from the ancient Israelites to the Arabs, and later the Crusaders and Ottomans. But there are no records of a civilization or culture that can be definitively linked to the builders of el-Hiri. Some have speculated that the site could be the work of an unknown, lost civilization, one that may have been swallowed by time and history, leaving behind only this megalithic structure as a silent witness to their once thriving society. As we stand before the stones of el-Hiri, the unanswered questions echo in the stillness of the Golan Heights. The massive stone circles, weathered and worn, seem to hold their secrets close, refusing to reveal the full truth of their origins. What was the purpose of this vast structure, built so long ago in such an inhospitable place? Were the builders of el-Hiri attempting to reach for the heavens, tracking the movements of the stars? Or were they marking something more earthly, something tied to the rhythms of life and death? And perhaps most profoundly, what else might lie hidden in the earth, waiting to be uncovered? As the sun sets over the Golan Heights, casting long shadows over the stones, we are left with more questions than answers, questions that may remain unanswered for generations to come. As we move from the arid stone circles of the Golan Heights to the coastal plains of southern Sweden, we encounter another enigmatic megalithic site that has stood the test of time: Ales Stenar, or the Ales Stones. Situated on a bluff overlooking the Baltic Sea, this ancient stone formation is as mysterious as it is striking. The site, which consists of a large, carefully arranged circle of standing stones, has captivated the imaginations of archaeologists, historians, and visitors for centuries. But like so many ancient wonders, its purpose remains elusive, and the question of who built it and why still lingers in the air. Ales Stenar is located near the village of Koseberga, where the stones stretch across the landscape, arranged in the shape of a massive ship. This formation, measuring about 67 meters in length, is the largest of its kind in Sweden and one of the most significant prehistoric monuments in Scandinavia. The stones are positioned with remarkable precision, with some standing as high as 2 meters. The arrangement is strikingly ship-like, with a long keel of stones and a series of upright slabs forming the edges of the vessel. The shape and structure of the monument have led many to speculate that it represents a symbolic or ceremonial ship, perhaps a vessel for the souls of the dead, or a form of astronomical observatory. The sheer scale and alignment of Ales Stenar suggest that it was not a haphazard construction, but rather a carefully planned and executed project, one that must have required significant resources and coordinated effort. The stones themselves are made of local sandstone, some weighing several tons, and they are arranged in a manner that is too deliberate to be the result of natural forces. The question that has puzzled researchers for centuries is, why was this stone ship built in the first place? Was it purely ceremonial, or did it have a more practical purpose? One of the most widely accepted theories is that Ales Stenar served as an astronomical calendar, aligning with key points in the solar year. Some researchers believe the stones mark the solstices, equinoxes, or other important celestial events, such as the position of the sun at dawn on certain days. The long axis of the ship-shaped formation may have been deliberately oriented to track the movement of the sun, aligning perfectly with the horizon at specific times of the year. Could it have been a way for the ancient people to mark the passage of time, to celebrate the changing seasons, or to track the movements of celestial bodies for religious or agricultural purposes? If this is the case, it would indicate that the builders of Ales Stenar possessed an advanced understanding of astronomy, comparable to other ancient cultures that built structures like Stonehenge in England or the Pyramids of Egypt. Could the people who constructed Ales Stenar have been part of a broader network of prehistoric astronomers, exchanging knowledge and ideas across vast distances? Or was this knowledge developed independently in Scandinavia, reflecting a unique cultural and spiritual worldview? The alignment of the stones with the sun raises tantalizing questions about the connections between ancient civilizations and their shared understanding of the cosmos. But Ales Stenar's significance may not lie solely in its astronomical function. The stone ship could have also had a more symbolic or ritualistic purpose. Some theories suggest that the formation was a memorial or burial site, with the ship shape representing a vessel for the soul on its journey to the afterlife. In Norse mythology, the image of a ship was often associated with death and the passage to another realm, and the stone ship at Ales Stenar may have served as a site for funerary rituals or as a place to honor the dead. Could this be a burial ground for a powerful chieftain or a leader, their soul symbolically ferried across the sea to the afterlife? While the idea of a funerary site is intriguing, there is little physical evidence to support it. No human remains have been found at Ales Stenar, and the lack of associated burial goods or artifacts raises questions about the burial hypothesis. If the site were truly a burial site, why would it have been built in such a visible location, perched on a cliff overlooking the sea? Wouldn't it make more sense to build a tomb or a more discreet memorial elsewhere? The absence of such evidence invites further speculation about the true purpose of the site. Another theory, perhaps more speculative, suggests that Ales Stenar could have been a place of power or governance, a central meeting place for ancient communities, a symbolic structure representing unity or control. Given its commanding position on the landscape, visible from miles around, it could have served as a landmark for travelers or a point of reference for trade routes. Was it a site where leaders or tribes gathered to make important decisions, a monument that demonstrated the power and prestige of the community that built it? Adding to the mystery of Ales Stenar is the question of its origins. When exactly was the monument constructed, and by whom? Radiocarbon dating suggests that the site was built sometime during the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age, around 5,000 years ago, but the precise date is still uncertain. The builders of Ales Stenar remain an enigma. Were they local Scandinavian tribes, or could the monument be the work of an external civilization that brought with it knowledge of stone construction and astronomical observation? There are even fringe theories that suggest a connection to ancient seafaring cultures, such as the Celts or the lost Atlanteans, though these ideas lack substantial evidence. What is particularly striking is the absence of any definitive historical records linking Ales Stenar to a particular people or culture. Unlike the Egyptians or Mesopotamians, who left behind written accounts of their achievements, the creators of Ales Stenar did not leave behind any inscriptions, tablets, or carvings to explain the meaning or purpose of the monument. The stones stand alone, with no clear explanation, leaving us to speculate based on the physical evidence and the theories we can construct from it. Perhaps one of the most compelling mysteries of Ales Stenar is its resilience. The monument has withstood centuries of weather, erosion, and human activity, and it continues to stand as it has for millennia, staring out across the Baltic Sea. What is it about this site that has allowed it to endure, even as the world around it has changed so drastically? Could it be that the people who built Ales Stenar understood something about the enduring nature of their creation? A truth or power that we have yet to grasp? Or does the continued presence of the stones simply reflect the strength of the human desire to leave a lasting mark on the world? As we stand before the stones of Ales Stenar, we are left with more questions than answers. The monument, though simple in its construction, holds within it the echoes of a distant past, a past that we may never fully understand. Was Ales Stenar an astronomical observatory, a funerary site, or a place of power? Who were the people that built it, and what drove them to create such a remarkable structure? And as we look out across the Baltic, with the wind carrying the ancient whispers of the past, we are left to wonder, what other secrets lie hidden in the stones of Ales Stenar, waiting to be uncovered? Leaving the shores of southern Sweden behind, we turn our gaze toward the sun-kissed hills of Greece, a land steeped in ancient history where every stone seems to carry the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Here, nestled amidst the olive groves and rugged terrain of the Peloponnese, stands a monumental enigma, the Pyramid of Hellinikon. Unlike the grand pyramids of Egypt or the soaring tombs of Mesopotamia, this pyramid is a solitary and lesser-known structure, its existence barely mentioned in the annals of history, yet its presence raises questions that remain unanswered. The Pyramid of Hellinikon is not a massive, towering edifice like the famous pyramids we've come to associate with ancient Egypt. Instead, it is a much smaller, though still impressive, structure, rising modestly from the landscape. Built primarily of local limestone, the pyramid's height reaches about 8 meters, with a square base measuring roughly 10 meters on each side. The structure is made up of carefully placed stone blocks, some of which weigh several tons. The design is simple in comparison to the more complex pyramids found elsewhere, but its form, perfectly symmetrical and striking in its angular precision, suggests that it was not built haphazardly. The pyramid's shape and the use of stone suggest that its creators understood the principles of architecture and geometry in ways that were ahead of their time. Unlike the monumental pyramids of Egypt, which are often linked to pharaohs and elaborate funerary practices, the Pyramid of Hellinikon has no known connection to any specific ruler or royal family. Its purpose and the identity of those who constructed it remain a mystery. The pyramid's location in the Peloponnese is striking in itself. Situated near the modern village of Hellinikon, it lies in a region that was once part of the ancient kingdom of Arcadia, an area known for its rich mythological and historical significance. But despite its proximity to the rich cultural history of ancient Greece, there are no clear historical records linking this pyramid to any particular civilization or period. Its builders left no inscriptions, no carvings, and no definitive markers that could explain the purpose of this odd structure. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Pyramid of Hellinikon is its alignment. The structure is oriented with remarkable precision, suggesting that its builders had a sophisticated understanding of geometry and astronomy. The pyramid is aligned with the cardinal points, with the sides of the structure facing north, south, east, and west. The alignment of the pyramid to the cardinal directions is a feature shared by many ancient megalithic structures, from the Great Pyramids of Giza to the stone circles of Europe. Could this alignment be purely symbolic, a representation of the natural world, or was it intended to mark specific astronomical events? The lack of any clear evidence linking the pyramid to celestial observances, however, only deepens the intrigue. Why go to the trouble of constructing such a precise structure without any obvious ritualistic or astronomical purpose? As with many ancient sites, the theories surrounding the pyramid's purpose are as varied as they are speculative. The most widely accepted theory is that the Pyramid of Hellinikon was a tomb, perhaps constructed for a local ruler or important figure. Its isolated location and the absence of any surrounding settlement have led some to suggest that it could have been a burial monument, similar to the Tholos tombs of Mycenae or the tumuli of other ancient cultures. But this theory is far from conclusive. No human remains have been found at the site, and there is no evidence of burial goods, such as weapons, jewelry, or pottery, which would typically be associated with funerary sites. Could this pyramid have been used for ceremonial purposes instead, perhaps as a place of worship or a symbol of divine power? Another intriguing possibility is that the Pyramid of Hellinikon could have been a marker, perhaps a navigational beacon or an indicator of some important ritualistic or cultural practice. Its location, while not as prominent as the great temples of ancient Greece, still commands attention, sitting atop a small hill with a view of the surrounding plains. Could the pyramid have served as a marker for travelers or traders moving across the region, or as a landmark for people living in the area? The absence of a clear settlement or other associated structures makes this theory difficult to confirm, but the idea that this pyramid could have served a practical, everyday function is certainly worth considering. There are also more speculative theories that suggest the Pyramid of Hellinikon could have had a far more mysterious purpose, one that connects it to other ancient pyramids and megalithic structures across the world. Some have suggested that the pyramid is evidence of a long-lost civilization with advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. Could the pyramid be part of a global network of ancient sites, built by a culture that spanned vast distances and left behind few traces? These theories, while intriguing, remain unsubstantiated, and many archaeologists dismiss them as overly speculative. Still, the idea that the pyramid could be part of a larger, yet unknown, ancient tradition continues to fuel the imagination. One of the most compelling aspects of the Pyramid of Hellinikon is the fact that it has largely been ignored by mainstream archaeology. While other ancient Greek structures, such as the Parthenon or the temples of Delphi, are world-renowned, the Pyramid of Hellinikon remains largely forgotten, overshadowed by the more famous ruins of ancient Greece. Why has this pyramid been overlooked? Is it simply because it does not fit neatly into the conventional understanding of Greek architecture and culture? Or is there something about it that makes researchers hesitant to explore its true purpose? Perhaps it is because, like many other ancient sites, the pyramid forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about our understanding of ancient history. Was ancient Greece truly the birthplace of Western civilization, or were there other, unknown cultures that preceded it, leaving behind structures like this pyramid that defy easy explanation? The mystery of the Pyramid of Hellinikon is compounded by the fact that, despite years of research, very little is known about the people who built it. Unlike the Greeks or other civilizations of the ancient world, the creators of the pyramid left behind no written records, no inscriptions, and no clear identification markers. This lack of context makes it difficult to place the pyramid within the broader historical narrative. Were its builders Greek, or did they belong to an earlier, pre-Greek culture? Did they share knowledge with other ancient civilizations, or were they isolated in their knowledge and practices? These are questions that remain unanswered, leaving the pyramid as a silent witness to a forgotten past. As we stand before the Pyramid of Hellinikon, its weathered stones and silent form evoke a sense of mystery and awe. The structure, though small in comparison to the grand temples and tombs of other civilizations, carries within it the weight of countless unanswered questions. What was its true purpose? Who built it and why? Was it a tomb, a ceremonial site, or something else entirely? The pyramid continues to stand, its secrets hidden beneath the stone, offering us a glimpse into a distant past that we may never fully understand. As we ponder these questions, we are reminded that history, like the pyramid itself, is often incomplete, its mysteries waiting to be discovered, if we only know where to look. Having journeyed through the mystifying stone circles of Sweden and the solitary Pyramid of Hellinikon in Greece, we now turn our attention to another ancient enigma, nestled in the heart of the Mediterranean Sea, Malta. Here, on this small, sun-drenched island, lies a series of prehistoric temples that have long captured the curiosity of scholars and travelers alike. The Malta megalithic temples, a cluster of structures that date back over 5,000 years, remain among the oldest freestanding stone buildings in the world. Yet, despite their age and prominence, the purpose of these temples and the identity of their builders continue to elude us. The temples are scattered across the island, each unique in its design but unified in their scale and precision. The most famous of these is Hagar Chim, perched on a hilltop overlooking the sparkling Mediterranean waters. It is a monumental structure with massive limestone blocks weighing several tons, some of which are so large they defy easy explanation for how they were transported and placed in position. The temples themselves are built in the shape of a horseshoe, with thick, curved walls and a central open-air space that may have once been a sanctuary or ceremonial ground. The sheer scale of the stones, the complexity of their construction, and their careful alignment with the surrounding landscape all suggest a culture of advanced knowledge, one capable of feats of engineering and precision that seem far ahead of their time. The Malta megalithic temples are not just isolated structures. They form part of a larger network of ancient sites scattered across the island, many of which seem to follow certain alignments with the stars, the sun, and the moon. Archaeologists have discovered that several of the temples are oriented in such a way that they mark significant celestial events, such as solstices and equinoxes. This alignment is particularly evident at Menajdra, another of the island's most famous temple complexes, where a central doorway is positioned to capture the first rays of the sun during the summer solstice. Such astronomical knowledge, along with the effort that must have gone into planning and constructing these temples, suggests a people who were deeply connected to the natural world and perhaps viewed the cosmos as a central aspect of their spiritual and cultural life. Yet, for all the advances the temples seem to represent, much about their purpose remains clouded in mystery. While it is widely believed that the temples were places of worship or ritual, the specific nature of these rituals is unknown. There are no written records to provide context, no inscriptions or carved symbols that might explain the beliefs or practices of the people who built them. What then were these early island dwellers trying to communicate through their architecture? Could it have been a form of celestial worship, paying homage to the movements of the stars and planets? Or was it something else entirely? Perhaps a more earth-bound connection to the cycles of nature, fertility, and the land. One of the most compelling features of the Malta megalithic temples is the statues and figurines found within and around the structures. These figures, known as the Venus figurines, represent a range of female forms, often with exaggerated physical features, which some interpret as symbols of fertility. Their widespread presence at the temple sites suggests that fertility in some form was central to the religious or spiritual practices of the people. But why, then, would such a seemingly simple theme, the worship of fertility, give rise to such grand and intricate stone structures? Could there be a deeper, more complex cosmology behind these temples? One that has been lost to time? In addition to the Venus figurines, the Malta megalithic temples are also home to numerous altar stones and basins, suggesting that ritual offerings may have been part of the practices carried out within these walls. The presence of these features has led some to speculate that the temples were used for sacrifices, perhaps of animals, perhaps even of humans. But there is no conclusive evidence to support this idea. Could these rituals have been conducted to ensure the continued fertility of the land, the health of the community, or the favor of the gods? Were these temples places where the physical and spiritual worlds intersected in ways we are only beginning to understand? Despite the extensive research conducted on the site, there is little agreement on who built the temples. It is widely assumed that the builders were part of a Neolithic society that occupied the island long before the advent of the great Mediterranean civilizations. Evidence suggests that they were skilled stoneworkers, but who exactly they were, what they called themselves, and where they came from remain mysteries. Some archaeologists have posited that they could have been part of a larger Mediterranean culture, possibly even connected to the early cultures of Egypt or the Near East, but the lack of direct evidence makes this difficult to confirm. Even more baffling is the question of how these ancient people managed to transport and place the massive stones used in the construction of the temples. The construction techniques remain unknown, and no evidence has been found of large tools or systems that could have been used to move such heavy materials. Some have speculated that they used levers, wooden sledges, or simple cranes, but these ideas remain theoretical at best. Could the ancient builders of Malta have possessed knowledge of engineering that has since been lost? Or did they rely on methods we have yet to fully understand? The temple's abandonment adds another layer to the mystery. Archaeological evidence suggests that the temples were used for several centuries, but by around 2500 BCE, the temples seem to have fallen into disuse. What caused this decline? Was it due to environmental changes, such as soil depletion or climate shifts, or were there social or political factors at play? There is evidence of later civilizations on the island, but none appear to have used the temples in the same way as their predecessors. Could the builders have been displaced, or did their culture simply vanish? And if so, what happened to their knowledge, their beliefs, and their connection to the temples? Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Malta megalithic temples is the very fact that they have endured for so long. These ancient structures, which have stood for thousands of years, offer us a glimpse into a world that we can scarcely imagine. The temples continue to stand, not just as relics of a bygone era, but as mysteries that invite us to ask deeper questions about the nature of ancient civilizations, their understanding of the cosmos, and their place in the world. What knowledge did these early builders possess that we have since lost? What rituals, beliefs, and practices did they hold dear, and what can we learn from their enduring legacy? As we look out over the ancient temples of Malta, the winds of the Mediterranean carrying with them the scent of salt and earth, we are left with more questions than answers. The mysteries of the Malta megalithic temples are far from solved, and perhaps they never will be. Yet in their silent presence, these stones continue to speak, beckoning us to listen, to reflect, and to wonder what secrets might still be hidden beneath the surface. As we leave behind the sun-kissed temples of Malta, we turn our attention to the wind-swept shores of Northern Ireland, where nature has etched another extraordinary enigma into the landscape. Here, along the rugged coast of County Antrim, lies the Giant's Causeway, an awe-inspiring formation of basalt columns that has long captured the imagination of both scientists and storytellers alike. Stretching out in perfect symmetry, these ancient stones appear as if they have been placed with deliberate intent, as though some forgotten giant had once walked across the land and left behind his mark. But what caused this otherworldly structure to form? And what, if anything, lies hidden in the silence of these ancient stones? The Giant's Causeway consists of around 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, each one forming a near-perfect hexagonal shape, rising from the earth like the remains of some colossal, long-forgotten structure. The columns vary in size, with some reaching over 12 meters in height, creating a strikingly symmetrical and ordered pattern. As the tide ebbs and flows, the stones are revealed, their dark, weathered surfaces glistening in the sunlight, while the sea crashes against the shore, adding to the surreal atmosphere. The natural beauty of the site is undeniable, but it is the mystery behind the formation of these stone giants that has captivated the minds of generations. From a geological standpoint, the origins of the Giant's Causeway are well understood. It is believed to have been formed around 60 million years ago during the Paleocene epoch, when volcanic activity in the area caused lava to flow out onto the surface. As the lava cooled, it contracted, creating the distinctive columnar shapes. The slow cooling of the basaltic lava caused it to fracture in such a way that the cracks formed perfectly geometric shapes, most commonly hexagons. This natural process is not unique to the Giant's Causeway. Similar formations can be found in other parts of the world, such as Iceland, Scotland, and even the United States. However, while scientists agree on the volcanic origins of the site, the striking regularity of the columns has inspired alternative theories, some of which defy conventional explanations. For centuries, people have speculated that the Giant's Causeway was the work of ancient civilizations, or even giants themselves. According to local legend, the formation was created by a giant named Fionn mac Cumhail, a mythical Irish hero who, in a fit of anger, threw stones into the sea to build a causeway to Scotland. This tale has been passed down through generations, intertwining folklore with the natural landscape. But what if there is more to the story than folklore? What if the story of Fionn Mac Cumhail is not just a legend, but a reflection of some deeper truth? Could the Giant's Causeway be more than just a natural wonder, but a site of ancient significance? A marker, perhaps, or a remnant of an ancient culture that understood and harnessed the forces of nature in ways we have long forgotten? Some have even suggested that the perfectly arranged columns could be the remnants of a man-made structure, perhaps a giant's altar or a bridge once used for trade or ceremonial purposes. The alignment of the columns, as well as the incredible precision with which they fit together, would suggest a level of craftsmanship that is difficult to attribute to natural forces alone. Could it be that ancient people, armed with knowledge of the earth and the sky, created the Giant's Causeway as a monumental achievement that has simply been obscured by the passage of time? The site's remote location, along with the strange and mysterious nature of the formation, has also led some to propose that it may have been used for astronomical purposes. In certain alignments, the columns appear to frame the horizon in such a way that they could have been used to mark important celestial events, such as the solstices or equinoxes, just as other ancient structures like Stonehenge were. The perfect geometry of the columns suggests a deep understanding of the natural world. But whether this knowledge was consciously employed for cosmic or ritualistic purposes remains an open question. Could the creators of the Giant's Causeway have been influenced by the same ancient traditions of astronomy and stone construction found across Europe, or was the site developed independently, reflecting a unique culture whose knowledge has been lost to history? Moreover, the mythology surrounding the Giant's Causeway and the story of Fionn Mac Cumhail offers another layer of mystery. In Irish mythology, Fionn is a hero who is often depicted as having supernatural abilities, including the power to control the elements. The idea of a giant creating a causeway to another land speaks to an understanding of the natural world that transcends the ordinary, suggesting that the ancient people of Ireland may have had a worldview that saw the land itself as something alive and imbued with magical properties. Could the legends of giants be a coded memory of a time when humans had a deeper connection to the earth, when the forces of nature were not seen as separate from the human experience, but as part of a larger, more holistic understanding of the universe? The connection between mythology and the natural world is an intriguing one, and it invites us to consider the possibility that the Giant's Causeway may not only be a product of volcanic forces, but also a place where human creativity, spiritual belief, and environmental knowledge intersected. If we look beyond the conventional geological explanation, we find that the site offers a much deeper mystery, one that speaks to the ancient people's reverence for the forces of nature and their ability to leave behind a lasting mark on the landscape. Despite the many theories, the true origin and purpose of the Giant's Causeway remain uncertain. Was it purely a geological phenomenon, or does it contain hidden meanings and secrets that we have yet to understand? The ancient people of Ireland may have left us with clues, wrapped in myth and stone, pointing to a lost knowledge, one that perhaps only the land itself fully understands. In the end, the mystery of the Giant's Causeway may never be fully solved. As the waves continue to crash against the basalt columns, and the wind whispers across the stones, we are left with the question: what ancient truths might still be hidden beneath the surface of this remarkable site? And perhaps, as we stand before the silent stone giants, we realize that the real mystery lies not just in the stones themselves, but in the stories they continue to inspire. Stories that transcend time and link us to the distant past in ways we can only begin to imagine. From the windswept shores of Northern Ireland, where the ancient stones of the Giant's Causeway stand in silent witness to a forgotten past, we now travel to the heart of Egypt, to a place where the very stone itself seems to hold secrets, secrets that have eluded the keenest minds for centuries. Here, in the ancient quarry of Aswan, lies the Unfinished Obelisk, an imposing slab of granite that stands as both a marvel and a mystery. Half-carved, abandoned, and marred by the passage of time, this massive stone is far more than a relic of the past. It is a clue, one that continues to challenge our understanding of ancient Egyptian craftsmanship, engineering, and perhaps even the very nature of time itself. The Unfinished Obelisk is located in the quarries of Aswan, a region famous for its high-quality granite, the material that was used to create many of ancient Egypt's most monumental structures. This particular obelisk lies embedded in the bedrock, still attached to the quarry from which it was hewn. Measuring an estimated 41 meters in length and weighing around 1,200 tons, it would have been one of the largest obelisks ever constructed had it been completed. Yet, instead of standing proudly like its completed counterparts, those iconic obelisks that dot the Egyptian landscape and beyond, this one remains suspended in time, caught between the world of the living and that of the dead, unfinished and abandoned. The unfinished state of the obelisk raises immediate questions. Why was it left incomplete? The standard explanation offered by Egyptologists is that the obelisk was abandoned during its carving process due to a flaw in the stone, perhaps an unexpected crack that made it unsuitable for transport or use. Yet, the sheer scale of the effort involved in beginning the carving of such a monumental structure suggests that the ancient Egyptians were not a people easily deterred by a mere flaw. Would they really have abandoned a project of such grandeur due to a small imperfection? Or is there something more at play here? The process of carving obelisks in ancient Egypt was an extraordinary feat of engineering, one that involved not only the transportation of massive stones from quarries, but also the precise chipping, shaping, and smoothing of the granite to create the towering monoliths that we now associate with Egyptian grandeur. These obelisks were often inscribed with the names and deeds of pharaohs, serving as monuments to their reigns. The Unfinished Obelisk was likely intended to do the same. It would have been a magnificent symbol of royal power had it ever been completed. But its abrupt abandonment invites us to wonder what halted the construction. Was it simply a flaw in the stone, or could there have been another reason? Beyond the practical explanations, there are more speculative ideas about the true nature of the Unfinished Obelisk. Some have suggested that the site might hold a deeper significance, one that goes beyond the simple notion of flawed workmanship. Could the obelisk have been left unfinished intentionally, as part of a larger ritual or symbolic purpose? In ancient Egypt, monuments were not merely physical structures, but often carried deep spiritual and symbolic meanings. Could it be that the unfinished nature of the obelisk was intended to represent something eternal, an object suspended in time, unable to be fully realized, much like the fleeting nature of life itself? Perhaps it was a monument to imperfection, a reminder of the transience of all things, even the most monumental of human endeavors. Others have speculated that the Unfinished Obelisk may have been a trial run, an experiment in the massive stone-working techniques for which the Egyptians were famous. Some even suggest that it could have been part of an ancient form of training, a demonstration for the workers to practice the techniques that would later be used on completed obelisks. In this view, the obelisk would not have been abandoned because of a flaw in the stone, but because it was never meant to be finished at all. Instead, it served as an example, a precursor to the more refined and perfectly executed obelisks that would later grace the temples and palaces of Egypt. Yet, the sheer scale of the unfinished obelisk, coupled with the complexity of the carving, leads one to wonder whether there might be another explanation entirely, one that draws upon the unknown elements of ancient Egyptian culture and their sometimes baffling ability to achieve feats that we still struggle to comprehend today. Could the Egyptians have been using techniques that we have not yet fully understood? The precision with which they carved their monuments, the accuracy of their astronomical alignments, and the engineering marvels they left behind all suggest a level of expertise that goes far beyond what we might expect from an ancient civilization. Could the unfinished obelisk have been abandoned because it was part of a more ambitious plan, one that was never realized due to forces beyond human control? For instance, there is no shortage of theories regarding the advanced tools and technologies the Egyptians may have used. The mystery of how they were able to carve such hard stone with the tools available to them continues to baffle modern researchers. Did they possess techniques, perhaps forgotten or lost to time, that allowed them to achieve such precision? Some believe that the ancient Egyptians could have used a form of vibration or sound technology, harnessing frequencies to help shape the stone. Others suggest that they might have employed techniques we are not yet aware of, or perhaps they had knowledge of materials or tools that have since been lost to history. The unfinished obelisk, then, might be more than just a discarded artifact of flawed workmanship. It could be the key to unlocking ancient technologies that have been hidden from view for millennia. As we stand before the unfinished obelisk, its vast, unfinished form lying half embedded in the bedrock, we are left with more questions than answers. Why did the ancient Egyptians leave it behind? Was it abandoned due to a flaw in the stone, a shift in priorities, or perhaps some unforeseen event? Or could it have been a deliberate act, an object of spiritual significance, or part of a larger, uncompleted vision? The obelisk remains a silent testament to an age long gone, yet its unfinished nature speaks volumes to those who are willing to listen. The mystery of the unfinished obelisk serves as a reminder that even in our modern age, there are still mysteries that elude us. As much as we strive to uncover the secrets of the ancient world, there are still aspects of our history that remain hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to ask the right questions, to look beyond the surface, and to wonder what might still be waiting to be uncovered. Could this unfinished stone hold the key to a deeper understanding of ancient Egypt's engineering prowess? Or will it remain forever a silent enigma, its true purpose lost to time? As we leave the unfinished grandeur of Egypt's obelisk behind, we now journey to the rugged hills of Sardinia, Italy, a place where history blends with myth, and the stones themselves seem to whisper forgotten secrets. Here, nestled among the island's dense vegetation, lies a site that has fascinated archaeologists, historians, and explorers for centuries. The Tomb of the Giant, a massive and enigmatic structure that raises more questions than it answers. The Tomb of the Giant is not a single tomb, but a monumental funerary complex located in the northern part of Sardinia, near the town of Coduvecchio. Its name, Tomba dei Giganti, is derived from the large stone slabs that make up its entrance, and the myth that giants once walked the island. At first glance, the site looks like a passageway, a long stone corridor leading to an impressive central chamber. The entrance is flanked by two massive stone slabs, each weighing several tons, and the tomb is covered with a large cairn of stones that creates a long, narrow mound stretching nearly 30 meters in length. The stone alignment suggests a carefully planned design, one that was clearly meant to convey power and permanence. The tomb itself is built using the megalithic construction techniques that were common in the prehistoric period, but the scale of the structure and its peculiar design sets it apart from other burial sites on the island. The most striking feature of the Tomb of the Giant is the entrance, which is marked by a massive stele, a standing stone that rises from the ground at the threshold of the tomb. This stone, which is over 3 meters high, serves as a kind of portal, drawing the viewer's attention as it towers over the entrance. It is both a marker of the tomb's sacredness and an indication of the importance of those buried within. Beyond the entrance, the tomb narrows into a long corridor that leads to the central chamber. This corridor is flanked by stones that were likely used for religious or ritual purposes, suggesting that the tomb was not merely a place of burial, but also a site for ceremonies, perhaps to honor the dead or ensure their journey into the afterlife. What is most mysterious, however, is the shape of the tomb itself. Unlike the more common circular or rectangular burial mounds seen elsewhere, the tomb of the giant is shaped like a long, narrow passageway with a rectangular chamber at the far end. This elongated form raises the question, why was such an unusual shape chosen for a tomb? Was it purely for architectural reasons, or did the shape hold some deeper symbolic meaning? The tomb of the giant is not a singular site, but rather part of a wider network of neuralgic structures found across Sardinia, dating back to the Bronze Age, approximately 1800 to 1000 BCE. These structures are attributed to the ancient neuralgic civilization, a mysterious people whose origins remain unclear. The neuralgic culture is known for its impressive stone constructions, including nurages, tower-like structures, well temples, and tombs. Yet, despite centuries of study, much about the neuralgic people and their practices remains a mystery. The Tomb of the Giant, with its massive stone architecture and unique design, is a key piece of this puzzle, one that invites us to ask more questions than it answers. Like many other ancient sites, the Tomb of the Giant is shrouded in myths and legends. Local folklore speaks of giants who once roamed the land, suggesting that these massive tombs were built for these larger-than-life figures. The idea of giants is not unique to Sardinia. Similar stories appear in the mythology of cultures across the globe, from the ancient Greeks to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Could there be a kernel of truth to these stories? Was the giant in the tomb a symbolic figure, someone whose power and influence were so great that they were thought of as more than human? Or, more intriguingly, could there have been individuals of extraordinary size whose burials in such monumental structures were meant to reflect their legendary status? While the myths speak of giants, archaeology offers a more grounded explanation. The Tomb of the Giant, like other megalithic tombs, was likely constructed as a communal burial site for a prominent or powerful individual, or possibly a family. The size of the tomb and the grandeur of its architecture suggest that the person buried there held significant status within the society. But who were the people of Sardinia, and what made them so dedicated to constructing such monumental burial sites? Archaeological evidence suggests that the neuralgic civilization was not just a society of skilled builders, but also of advanced metallurgists, traders, and perhaps even astronomers. Could the Tomb of the Giant have had an astronomical function, marking the passage of time or aligning with celestial events as many other ancient structures seem to do? The questions surrounding the Tomb of the Giant do not stop there. One of the most intriguing aspects of the site is its alignment with other ancient structures, suggesting that the tomb might have been part of a larger network of sacred sites. Some theorists propose that these sites were strategically placed to form a kind of spiritual geography, creating a map of the land that was imbued with meaning and power. Could the tomb have been part of such a system, designed to connect the living with the divine, or to mark an important point on the landscape, as many other ancient civilizations did with their sacred monuments? Adding to the intrigue is the fact that the Tomb of the Giant, despite its monumental size, remains largely unexplored. Though archaeologists have studied the site, much of the tomb's deeper significance has yet to be fully understood. Excavations have revealed a few artifacts, including pottery and stone tools, but little has been discovered regarding the specific rituals or burial practices of the people who built the tomb. Could the tomb have been used for something more than just burial? Was it a place for initiations or a site of religious pilgrimage where the living would come to honor their ancestors or seek guidance from the spirits of the deceased? As we stand before the tomb of the giant, gazing upon the massive stones that form the entrance, we are reminded of the limitations of our understanding. Despite the centuries of study, the tomb of the giant remains a riddle, its purpose and meaning still hidden beneath layers of stone, soil, and myth. Was it a simple burial site for a powerful individual, or does it represent something more profound, a testament to a lost culture and a time when giants may have walked the earth, in myth or in reality? Whatever the true story, the tomb invites us to wonder. What secrets lie buried here, waiting to be uncovered? And perhaps, in the silence of this ancient site, the echoes of the past continue to speak, urging us to listen closely and seek out the mysteries that remain hidden in the stones. As we leave behind the monumental tombs of Sardinia, we now turn our attention to the vast, arid desert landscapes of Jordan, where the winds have shaped not just the land, but also the stories etched into the very rock itself. In the heart of Wadi Rum, a remote valley nestled between towering sandstone mountains, lies a series of ancient rock carvings that have long intrigued scholars and adventurers alike. The Wadi Rum Rock. Carvings are not just artistic expressions or primitive symbols. They are a testament to the lost civilizations that once called this harsh desert home. Yet, despite extensive research, the full meaning of these carvings remains elusive, leaving us to wonder, who created these images and why? And perhaps more importantly, what truths might they reveal about the ancient people who left them behind? Wadi Rum, often referred to as the Valley of the Moon due to its otherworldly landscape, is known for its dramatic sandstone cliffs and deep, winding canyons. The region is striking in its sheer scale and beauty, with vibrant red sands and towering rock formations that rise like silent sentinels against the vast, empty sky. But it is the rock carvings that make this place even more remarkable. These petroglyphs, which date back thousands of years, cover the surfaces of the region's most prominent rock faces, offering a glimpse into a world long past. They depict a variety of figures, human-like shapes, animals, and mysterious abstract symbols that seem to stretch across the landscape in a sprawling visual narrative. The carvings vary in complexity, ranging from simple outlines to more detailed depictions of animals, including camels, oxen, and horses, all of which were crucial to the desert-dwelling tribes that once roamed the area. Some images appear to be ceremonial in nature, perhaps designed to honor certain gods or to mark significant events in the lives of the people who created them. Others seem to show scenes of daily life, capturing animals and humans engaged in activities like hunting or herding. These images, though simple in form, convey a deep connection between the people and the environment, illustrating how they interacted with the land, the animals, and the spiritual world around them. But amidst these more straightforward depictions, there are carvings that defy easy explanation. Some figures appear to be more abstract, enigmatic shapes that seem to suggest something far beyond the ordinary. A few of the carvings depict unusual figures, perhaps human-like beings with elongated limbs or strange features, raising questions about their significance. Are these representations of gods, ancestors, or some kind of otherworldly visitors? Or could they be symbolic of an ancient belief system, one that we have yet to fully understand? The mystery deepens when you consider the size and placement of the carvings. Many are situated in hard-to-reach areas, high up on cliffs or hidden in narrow, sheltered rock faces, suggesting that they may have been deliberately positioned to be seen only by those with the knowledge to find them. The Wadi Rum carvings are often attributed to the Nabatean civilization, who inhabited the region over 2,000 years ago. The Nabateans were skilled traders, known for their advanced engineering and their ability to carve elaborate structures into the rock, including the famous city of Petra. Their civilization, though mysterious in its own right, left behind an impressive legacy of art and architecture. However, some of the carvings in Wadi Rum appear to predate the Nabateans, possibly going back as far as the Bronze Age or even earlier, suggesting that the site was used by multiple cultures over a vast period of time. Could these earlier carvings be the work of unknown peoples, lost to history? And if so, what might their symbols tell us about the beliefs and practices of these ancient groups? As we look deeper into the carvings, another layer of intrigue emerges. Some scholars have suggested that the Wadi Rum carvings may have been astronomical markers, carefully placed to align with the movements of the stars or the passage of time. The desert sky, with its clear, uninterrupted view of the heavens, was likely of profound importance to the ancient peoples who lived there. In a region where the harshness of the environment demanded a deep understanding of the natural world, it is not surprising that the sky would play a significant role in the belief systems of these desert dwellers. Could the carvings have been used to mark important celestial events, such as the rising and setting of certain stars, or the changing of the seasons? If so, the carvings would not only have served as a record of the people's interaction with the world around them, but also as a map of time itself, a connection between the earthly and the cosmic. In addition to their potential astronomical significance, the carvings have also been interpreted through the lens of shamanic practice. Some of the abstract symbols and unusual figures are thought to represent spiritual beings or the transformational experiences of shamans, those who were believed to journey between the physical world and the spirit realm. The stark, dramatic landscape of Wadi Rum, with its otherworldly rock formations and vast emptiness, would have been the perfect backdrop for such rituals. The idea that the carvings are the product of shamanic visions, representing the altered states of consciousness and the spiritual insights of ancient practitioners, raises fascinating questions. Were these carvings intended to be seen by others as a form of communication, or were they created for the benefit of the creators themselves, as part of private spiritual rituals? Despite the many theories, there is no definitive explanation for the true meaning of the Wadi Rum rock carvings. Some archaeologists believe they were simply a way for the people of the region to record important aspects of their lives, much like a primitive form of storytelling. Others suggest they had a more ritualistic or ceremonial purpose, perhaps as offerings to the gods or as part of elaborate burial practices. Still, others propose that the carvings were a form of sacred geometry, encoded with hidden meanings that are yet to be deciphered. Some fringe theories even speculate that the strange humanoid figures could represent extraterrestrial beings, their long-limbed, otherworldly appearance fueling ideas of ancient contact with beings from the stars. As we stand in the quiet expanse of Wadi Rum, with the harsh desert winds swirling around us, we are left with the haunting presence of these ancient carvings, etched into the stone by hands long gone. They are as timeless as the desert itself, yet as mysterious as the very origins of the people who created them. The questions they raise about the nature of the symbols, the intentions behind their placement, and the beliefs of the people who carved them remain unanswered. And perhaps, in the vast silence of Wadi Rum, the mystery of the rock carvings will remain, inviting us to look deeper into the past and wonder, what secrets do these stones still hold, and what might they reveal if we are able to understand them fully? As we leave the desolate beauty of Wadi Rum behind, we now find ourselves in the heart of the Peruvian Andes, standing before a monumental feat of ancient engineering, the Sacsayhuamán Walls. Situated just above the city of Cusco, once the capital of the mighty Inca Empire, these towering stone walls continue to mystify visitors and researchers alike. They are a testament to a civilization that possessed skills and knowledge that, even today, challenge our understanding of what was possible in prehistory. The walls of Sacsayhuamán, are made up of enormous, perfectly cut stones, some of which weigh as much as 100 tons. These massive blocks are meticulously arranged in interlocking patterns, with no mortar holding them in place. The stones fit so precisely that not even a knife blade can slip between them. The level of craftsmanship is staggering, especially when you consider that these walls were constructed more than 500 years ago, using technology and tools far less advanced than those available to us today. Yet, there is no sign of any mortar or binding agents, and the sheer weight and precision of the stones suggest a level of engineering expertise that modern builders might struggle to replicate. As we stand before the walls, it's difficult not to marvel at the sheer scale of the project. The fortification stretches for hundreds of meters, with massive terraces that rise up the hill, once forming the base of an immense citadel that served as a ceremonial and defensive structure. It is believed that the Inca constructed Sacsayhuamán during the reign of the Emperor Pachacuti in the 15th century, but the true purpose of the site remains shrouded in mystery. Was it simply a military fortress, a palace, or perhaps a sacred site where the Inca performed religious rituals? The lack of definitive answers only adds to the allure of the site, suggesting that Sacsayhuamán held meanings and functions that we may never fully comprehend. Yet, the questions surrounding Sacsayhuamán extend beyond its purpose. The methods used to build these walls remain a central enigma. How were these massive stones quarried and transported to the site? The Inca had no advanced machinery, no cranes or pulleys, yet the precision with which these stones were cut and placed seems to suggest a level of expertise that goes far beyond what we might expect from an ancient civilization. Mainstream scholars argue that the Incas used rudimentary tools such as copper chisels, wooden sledges, and perhaps even simple levers and ramps to shape and transport the stones. But given the sheer size and weight of the stones, this explanation seems inadequate. Could the Incas have had access to lost technologies, perhaps a method of cutting stone that has been forgotten to history? Some have speculated that the stones at Sacsayhuamán were not quarried in the traditional sense at all, but rather carved or shaped using methods we have yet to understand. Others have even proposed more exotic theories, suggesting that the stones were somehow manipulated with heat or vibration, using technologies that the Inca might have inherited from an ancient, forgotten civilization, or even from extraterrestrial visitors. These ideas, though not widely accepted in mainstream archaeology, continue to capture the imagination of those who find it difficult to believe that such precision could be achieved with the tools and techniques attributed to the Inca. The interlocking design of the walls also raises questions. The stones are not just stacked on top of one another, but they are arranged in a way that they interlock with incredible precision, forming a zigzag pattern that adds an additional layer of strength and durability to the structure. Why this specific arrangement? What could have been the purpose of such a design? Was it simply a matter of aesthetics, or did the pattern have some deeper symbolic meaning? The possibility that the walls of Sacsayhuamán may have had an astronomical function, like other ancient sites, has been suggested. Could the alignment of the stones correspond to celestial events or solar patterns? The proximity of the site to the ancient Inca sun temple at Coricancha raises further questions about the site's possible connection to Inca cosmology and their reverence for the sun. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Sacsayhuamán Walls is the role that earthquakes have played in their preservation. Despite centuries of earthquakes and natural disasters, the walls of Sacsayhuamán have withstood the test of time, and their stones remain firmly in place. In fact, the walls have been described as earthquake-resistant, with their interlocking stones absorbing the shock of tremors in such a way that they remain unscathed. This resilience has led some researchers to believe that the design of the walls was not only a marvel of engineering, but also a reflection of the Incas' deep understanding of the natural world. Could the Incas have developed sophisticated methods for constructing buildings that could withstand seismic activity, Methods that were ahead of their time? The ability to build such resilient structures raises the possibility that the Inca had knowledge of geological forces and construction techniques that have been lost or forgotten. Adding to the mystery is the fact that much of Sacsayhuamán was destroyed by the Spanish during their conquest of the Inca Empire in the 16th century. The massive stones were taken and repurposed for the construction of Spanish buildings in Cusco, leaving much of the original structure in ruins. Yet, even in its diminished state, the remaining walls continue to evoke a sense of awe and wonder. What did the Inca originally envision for this site, and how much of its significance was lost when the Spanish arrived? The fact that much of the original structure has been removed only adds to the sense of lost knowledge that may have been hidden or suppressed during the colonial period. As we stand before the towering walls of Sacsayhuamán, we are reminded of the profound mystery that still surrounds the Inca civilization. These massive stone structures, with their precise engineering and unexplained construction methods, seem to speak to a level of understanding that we are only beginning to grasp. The question of how the Inca achieved such feats of architecture remains unanswered, and the true purpose of Sacsayhuamán, whether it was a ceremonial site, a military fortress, or something else entirely, remains as elusive as the civilization that created it. In the end, the walls of Sacsayhuamán stand as a testament to the ingenuity of the Inca, a civilization that left behind some of the most impressive and mysterious structures on Earth. Yet, even as we uncover more about their methods and their culture, there are still questions that remain unanswered. How did they achieve such precision? Why did they build in such a unique interlocking style? And what role did these walls play in the larger spiritual and political landscape of the Inca Empire? As with so many other ancient structures, Sacsayhuamán invites us to reflect on the knowledge that has been lost to time, and to wonder what other secrets still lie buried beneath the stones, waiting to be discovered. As we step away from the mighty walls of Sacsayhuamán, we now find ourselves journeying across the vast landscapes of China, where beneath the Earth's surface lies a mystery so profound that it continues to confound archaeologists, engineers, and explorers alike: the Longyou Caves. Nestled in the heart of Zhejiang province, far from the bustling cities and well-traveled roads, these caves lie hidden beneath the soil. Discovered in 1992 by local villagers, the Longyou Caves, or Longyou Grottos as they are sometimes called, are an extraordinary system of subterranean chambers and tunnels hewn into the bedrock with an artistry and precision that defy the capabilities of the civilization that supposedly created them. The caves span over 30,000 square meters, and some chambers are large enough to house entire buildings, with high ceilings and extensive corridors that stretch far into the depths of the earth. The Longyou Caves are believed to date back over 2,000 years, though some estimates suggest they could be even older. What is most fascinating, however, is not just their age or their size, but the sheer intricacy of their design. The walls of these caves have been carved with near-perfect symmetry, and the engineering is nothing short of remarkable. Each chamber, meticulously chiseled from the rock, features elegant, geometric patterns, long, straight corridors that seem to stretch infinitely, and large, rectangular chambers with smooth, polished surfaces that appear almost unnatural for a site of such age. But what makes these caves so enigmatic is not just their stunning craftsmanship. There is an overwhelming mystery surrounding how these caves were constructed, and more importantly, why. Unlike other ancient cave systems that were naturally formed, the Longyou Caves are clearly the result of human ingenuity, suggesting that the people who built them had a remarkable understanding of engineering. Yet, the tools and techniques they used remain an enigma. The surface of the rock shows no signs of the traditional tools one would expect from such a monumental undertaking. No chisels or hammers appear to have been used in the carving process, and the precision of the work, especially the smoothness of the walls, has led some to speculate that the builders may have employed some unknown method or technique that has been lost to history. In more recent studies, scientists have proposed that the caves could have been dug using rudimentary tools such as simple chisels or wooden scaffolding. Some even suggest that primitive forms of hydraulic engineering, using water to soften the stone or flood the cave system for easier carving, might have been employed. But these theories, while plausible, only raise further questions. Could a civilization, with tools of limited capability, have dug out such an extensive and complex system of caves with such precision? The lack of any definitive evidence or explanation continues to fuel intrigue and speculation. Adding to the mystery is the purpose of these caves. While they undoubtedly represent an impressive feat of human labor and skill, their exact function remains unclear. Some historians believe that the caves were originally intended for ritualistic purposes, perhaps as places of worship or as burial sites. The smooth, cavernous chambers may have been designed to evoke awe, their grand proportions suggesting that they were meant to house not just the living, but the gods themselves. Others suggest that the caves may have had a more practical purpose, perhaps serving as storage spaces for precious goods, or even as water reservoirs for the ancient city of Longyou, which was situated nearby. Yet none of these explanations fully account for the vast size and complexity of the caves, nor the extraordinary precision with which they were carved. It is this very uncertainty that has inspired some to propose more speculative and even fringe theories about the origin of the Longyou Caves. Some have suggested that they were built by a lost civilization, one that predated the known history of the area. Could these caves be remnants of an ancient culture, perhaps from the Neolithic or even the Paleolithic period, whose technological advancements were far more advanced than what we would expect? Could the builders of these caves have had knowledge of construction techniques or tools that have since been forgotten to time? Other theories venture even further afield, proposing that the caves may have been created by extraterrestrial visitors, their symmetrical, seemingly perfect design, coupled with the apparent lack of tools or evidence of conventional building methods, offering tantalizing hints of a non-human origin. Of course, these ideas, though compelling to some, remain highly speculative, with little to no evidence to support such claims. Still, the mystery of the caves leaves us asking, could there be more to the story of the Longyou Caves than we can explain with current knowledge? Despite the intrigue and the many theories that surround the Longyou Caves, no single explanation has gained universal acceptance. The truth, it seems, may lie somewhere in between, the product of an ancient civilization whose achievements remain partly obscured by the passage of time. The fact that the caves are still largely unexplored adds another layer to the mystery. While extensive studies have been conducted on the Longyou Caves, much of the site remains closed off to visitors and researchers, with only a small fraction of the caves available for public viewing. Could there be additional chambers, undiscovered passages, or hidden features within the caves that might hold the key to unlocking their purpose? One of the most striking aspects of the Longyou Caves is how timeless they feel. The caves are not just relics of a forgotten past, they are a living mystery, one that still challenges us to look beyond the conventional understanding of ancient civilizations. As we stand at the entrance to the caves, the weight of the unknown hangs in the air, inviting us to question everything we think we know about history. The question of how such a complex and sophisticated system of caves could have been built so many centuries ago remains a tantalizing riddle, one that continues to beckon us toward answers that may forever remain just beyond our reach. As we gaze into the shadowed depths of the Longyou Caves, we are reminded that history is not always neatly packaged and easily understood. The echoes of the past, hidden deep beneath the earth, continue to speak to us, urging us to listen and reflect. What if the answers to this ancient enigma lie just beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered? What truths might still remain, buried in the silence of the stone, whispering to us from a distant past that we may never fully comprehend? The Longyou Caves remain an unanswered mystery, a reminder that there is still so much we have yet to discover about the civilizations that shaped our world. As we continue our journey through the vast and mysterious landscapes of ancient megastructures, we arrive in the highlands of Bolivia, where the enigmatic Gate of the Sun, or Puerta del Sol, stands in stark silence against the backdrop of the Andean mountains. This ancient monolith, etched from a single massive stone, sits at the entrance of the Tiwanaku archaeological site, one of the most perplexing ruins in the Americas. With its towering structure and intricate carvings, the Gate of the Sun has captured the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and curious visitors for centuries. Yet, despite its undeniable grandeur, the purpose and origins of this colossal stone doorway remain shrouded in mystery. Standing at over 3 meters tall and nearly 4 meters wide, the Gate of the Sun is not just a stone monument. It is a gateway to the unknown, its massive weight and precision suggesting that it was built with a level of sophistication far ahead of its time. The gate is carved from a single piece of reddish sandstone, its surface adorned with finely detailed reliefs that seem to tell a story lost to history. At its center, the face of a deity is depicted, surrounded by intricate geometric patterns, anthropomorphic figures, and celestial symbols, which some believe represent the alignment of the sun, the stars, and perhaps even the cosmos itself. Yet despite the numerous theories, the true purpose of the gate remains elusive. The Gate of the Sun is often attributed to the Tiwanaku civilization, which flourished in the Andes around 1,500 years ago. The Tiwanaku were renowned for their advanced agricultural techniques, their intricate ceramic art, and their remarkable stonework, but much of their history is still a mystery. How could a civilization with no known written language create such an elaborate and enduring monument? What was the significance of the deities and symbols etched into the stone? Mainstream archaeologists suggest that the Gate of the Sun may have functioned as a ritualistic or ceremonial monument, used to mark important events in the Tiwanaku calendar, or to honor their gods. It is also believed to have had an astronomical purpose, possibly serving as a marker for the solstices or other significant celestial events. But the more we look at the Gate of the Sun, the more questions arise. For one, its precise alignment with the sun and its connection to the stars seem too deliberate to be a mere coincidence. Could it be that the ancient Tiwanaku had a more complex understanding of astronomy and time than we've given them credit for? The carvings on the gate appear to represent not just gods or mythical figures, but also celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and the stars. These celestial motifs suggest that the gate might have been part of a larger system, one that linked the movements of the heavens to the rhythms of daily life, possibly as part of a grand astronomical calendar. This idea gains further weight when we consider the Puma Punku site, located nearby, where similarly intricate stonework and alignment with the stars can be found. Could the Gate of the Sun be part of a larger, sophisticated network of astronomical monuments? Adding to the intrigue is the mystery of its construction. Unlike the grand monuments of other ancient cultures, where we can trace the techniques and tools used to build them, the Tiwanaku stonework defies easy explanation. The stones used to create the Gate of the Sun and other structures at Tiwanaku are cut with an astonishing degree of precision. Stones so finely fitted together that no mortar was needed and no gaps remain between them. But what makes this even more puzzling is that the Tiwanaku had no known tools or methods to achieve such feats of craftsmanship. Did they use a technology that we have since lost to time? Or perhaps, more speculatively, could they have employed techniques that were far ahead of their time, Methods we still cannot comprehend? There are also several unanswered questions about the Gate of the Sun's exact age. Mainstream scholars place it at around 1,500 years old, based on the estimated time of the Tiwanaku civilization. However, some have proposed that the monument could be much older, potentially predating the Tiwanaku by millennia. If this is the case, the gate could be a remnant of an entirely different civilization, one whose influence or knowledge was passed down to the Tiwanaku. This idea, though controversial, invites speculation about lost civilizations that predate known history, civilizations whose knowledge of construction, astronomy, and geometry was far more advanced than we are willing to acknowledge. One of the most compelling aspects of the Gate of the Sun is the face of the god carved into its center. The figure, often identified as Viracocha, the creator god of the Andean peoples, is depicted with intricate facial features and a serene, almost omniscient expression. The level of detail and the proportion of the face suggest that the Tiwanaku had a profound understanding of human anatomy, but there are other elements in the carving that defy simple interpretation. The face is flanked by symbols that could represent the 4 cardinal directions, or possibly the sun's journey across the sky. And yet, the symbolism behind the face itself remains unclear. Is it an idol of worship, or does it represent a more complex cosmological principle? Is it a representation of a human ruler, or a being from another realm? These questions have led some researchers to speculate about the spiritual significance of the figure, while others propose that it may represent a symbolic doorway to another world or plane of existence. The mystery deepens when we consider the purpose of the gate's location. Situated at the edge of the Tiwanaku site, facing the Andean mountain range, the Gate of the Sun appears to be aligned with the natural world in a way that suggests a deeper connection between the sacred and the earthly. The mountains themselves were considered sacred by the Tiwanaku, and the gate may have been placed to mark the boundary between the physical world and the spiritual realm. The symbolic role of the gate could have been to act as a threshold, an entryway into the world of the gods, or perhaps a marker of the changing seasons, marking the passage of time in relation to the heavens. Could it have been used in rituals or ceremonies that honored the cycle of life, death, and rebirth? Despite the many theories surrounding the Gate of the Sun, its true meaning remains just out of reach, obscured by the passage of time and the loss of historical records. The precision of its craftsmanship, its celestial connections, and its apparent spiritual significance suggest that the people who built it possessed a deep understanding of the world around them, an understanding that we are still struggling to grasp. Was the Gate of the Sun simply a monumental piece of architecture, or was it part of a larger, more complex system of beliefs and rituals that connected the people of Tiwanaku to the stars, the earth, and the gods? As we stand before the gate, its silent presence invites us to contemplate the mysteries of the ancient world. What knowledge has been lost, and what truths remain hidden behind the stone? The Gate of the Sun, in all its enigmatic grandeur, serves as a reminder that some of the greatest mysteries of our past may never be fully explained. But perhaps it is in these unanswered questions that the true power of the monument lies, inviting us to look up at the sky and wonder what secrets might still be waiting to be uncovered. As we journey deeper into the heart of ancient civilizations, our next stop leads us into the remote desert of southern Egypt, where an enigmatic site known as Nabta Playa beckons. Hidden in the vastness of the Nubian desert, this site, often overlooked by mainstream history, holds clues to a forgotten era, a time when humans sought to align their understanding of the cosmos with the mysteries of the earth itself. Stretching out across the parched land, Nabta Playa reveals a series of stone circles, alignments, and megalithic structures, many of which are eerily reminiscent of the Stonehenge complex in England. But unlike Stonehenge, which is celebrated and well documented, Nabta Playa remains a largely mysterious and unexplained site, its purpose and creators still subjects of speculation and debate. The site consists of a series of arranged stones, some upright and others lying on the ground, forming several distinctive patterns. One of the most striking features is a circular stone structure, surrounded by smaller stones in a crescent shape. The largest of these stones, towering over others, suggests that it once served as an important marker, possibly pointing to celestial events like solstices or equinoxes. But unlike more familiar megalithic sites, the stones at Nabta Playa are not as large as those of Stonehenge. Many are modest in size, yet their placement and the precision of their alignment reveal a highly sophisticated understanding of astronomy. What makes Nabta Playa so remarkable, however, is not just the stone arrangements themselves, but their age. According to radiocarbon dating, these structures date back to at least 5,000 years ago, making them older than the pyramids of Giza, and even older than the great stone circles of Stonehenge. But the question arises, who were the creators of these structures, and how did they come to possess such profound astronomical knowledge at a time when civilization, as we understand it, was in its infancy? Mainstream archaeologists suggest that Nabta Playa was built by the early desert-dwelling tribes of the Sahara, who were skilled in tracking the movement of the stars, the sun, and the moon. This knowledge would have been essential for agriculture, guiding the early peoples in their planting and harvesting cycles, and perhaps even influencing early forms of religious or spiritual practices. The alignment of the stones with celestial bodies strongly suggests that these structures were used for astronomical observations, marking important events such as the summer solstice or the heliacal rising of stars, key events for the survival of these early peoples. Some researchers have even proposed that the stone circle at Nabta Playa could have served as a calendar, allowing the inhabitants to track the passage of time, predict seasons, and plan their agricultural activities with an extraordinary degree of precision. Yet, despite these plausible theories, there remains a lingering uncertainty. How could these people, who were still living in a largely pre-agricultural nomadic existence, have developed such sophisticated structures and astronomical knowledge? What tools or methods did they use to carve the stones, and how did they manage to achieve such precise alignments without the advanced technology we have today? In addition to these more mainstream theories, there are fringe ideas that suggest that Nabta Playa may have had an even more mysterious function, one that extends beyond mere observation of the heavens. Some theorists speculate that the site may have been a ritualistic center, a place where early peoples gathered not only to track celestial events, but to engage in spiritual practices, perhaps connected to an early form of sun worship or a belief in the sacredness of the sky. Others suggest that the layout of the stones may have encoded hidden knowledge, possibly even a form of early writing or mathematics, that remains undeciphered. Could these stones have served as a form of communication, a way of transmitting astronomical or cosmological knowledge across generations? Even more intriguing is the possibility that the site was connected to lost civilizations, cultures whose knowledge of the stars and the Earth's cycles was passed down through generations, but whose legacy has vanished over time. Some researchers have posited that Nabta Playa may have been part of a larger network of ancient astronomical sites that spanned much of the ancient world, connecting places like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even the mysterious builders of the Indus Valley. The suggestion that there might have been a more globalized ancient world than we are currently taught is certainly provocative. Were the builders of Nabta Playa part of a culture that had already begun to form the early foundations of civilization? Or was this an isolated culture working independently of others? The exact method of construction at Nabta Playa also raises significant questions. Many of the stones are precisely shaped and transported, with some weighing several tons. In a time when tools and technologies were rudimentary at best, how did the builders move these massive stones across such a vast, barren desert? Some researchers have speculated that early humans might have used simple yet effective ropes and log rollers to shift the stones. But the level of organization required to create such a sophisticated site suggests that there might have been more to their methods than we can easily comprehend. Another puzzling aspect of Nabta Playa is its location. Situated in the Nubian desert, the area is incredibly dry, and it is believed that the climate of the region was once much more lush and hospitable, possibly resembling the savannas of modern-day Africa. This suggests that Nabta Playa may have been built at a time when the area was still fertile and capable of sustaining large communities. However, as the climate gradually dried up, the once thriving desert region became inhospitable. Could the decline of the climate have contributed to the eventual abandonment of the site? Or perhaps the site was abandoned due to changes in the cultural or religious practices of its people. What happened to the builders of Nabta Playa, and why did they leave behind such a monumental site? As we consider the significance of Nabta Playa, we are drawn into a web of unanswered questions. The remarkable precision of its astronomical alignments, the mystery of its creators, and the symbolism etched into the stones invite us to ponder a deeper truth about our collective human past. What knowledge was encoded into these ancient stones? What were the builders trying to communicate through their careful alignment with the heavens? In the vast, barren expanse of the desert, the stone circles of Nabta Playa stand as silent witnesses to a distant time. The site continues to challenge our understanding of early human civilization, raising more questions than answers. What secrets still lie hidden beneath the shifting sands, waiting to be uncovered? And as we stand before these ancient stones, we are left with the unsettling thought: what truths about our origins have we yet to fully comprehend? As the tranquil waters of the Pacific lap gently against the coast of Yonaguni, a small island off the southern tip of Japan, a singular mystery rests beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Beneath the waves, some 20 meters below the ocean's surface, lies a structure that has intrigued and baffled researchers for decades. Known as the Yonaguni Monument, this submerged rock formation appears to defy the natural processes of erosion and time, resembling an ancient man-made complex, yet its true origins remain shrouded in uncertainty. At first glance, the Yonaguni Monument presents itself as a massive, stepped formation, resembling a pyramid or temple complex. The structure rises from the ocean floor with sharp, rectangular edges and flat surfaces that suggest precision cutting. Several prominent features are visible, including terraces, platforms, and steps, all arranged in such a way that they resemble the remains of a lost civilization. Its sheer size and arrangement raise questions about whether this is a natural formation shaped by the forces of nature, or whether it is the remains of an ancient, forgotten society. The discovery of the Yonaguni Monument in 1987 by a local diver, Kohachi Matsumoto, brought attention to this enigmatic site. What initially seemed like an accidental find soon grew into a topic of widespread speculation, drawing experts and amateur archaeologists from all over the world. Could this submerged monument be a relic of an ancient civilization, now lost to the sea? Some believe that the formation's geometric features, such as its square-like platforms and stepped terraces, are far too perfect to be the result of natural geological processes. Others, however, argue that the shape of the monument could be entirely natural, an incredible coincidence of erosion and tectonic activity. Mainstream geological explanations suggest that the Yonaguni Monument could be the result of natural tectonic forces, which have shaped the rocks into the angular formations we see today. These forces, combined with erosion from water and time, could have created the unusual structure. According to these theories, the sharp lines and flat surfaces of the monument are simply the result of natural fractures in the rock. Over time, the ocean's currents and waves may have further sculpted the rocks into what now appears to be a man-made structure. Yet there is one problem with this explanation. The monument's features are far too regular and structured to be easily dismissed as the work of nature alone. Some of the most compelling features of the Yonaguni Monument suggest that there may be something more to this formation than meets the eye. For instance, the steps of the monument are remarkably uniform in their dimensions, stretching for several meters along the rock face, each one following a consistent pattern. There are even clear terraces and plaza-like areas, leading some to wonder if this structure could have once served a ceremonial or architectural purpose. Could these steps have once been used for climbing or reaching a significant platform? Were they part of a greater ceremonial complex or temple designed by ancient builders to honor the gods or align with celestial bodies? Some have even speculated that the Yonaguni Monument could be a pyramid-like structure, pointing to its resemblance to ancient megalithic sites like those found in Egypt or Mesoamerica. Could it be that this monument was part of a lost, underwater civilization that predated our known history? Some suggest that this structure could be the remnants of a sunken city, perhaps part of the legendary Mu, an ancient civilization that is said to have existed long before recorded history. The idea of a sunken civilization is not new, and theories of lost continents like Atlantis or Mu have long captured the public imagination. Could the Yonaguni Monument be the last trace of such a civilization, now submerged beneath the waves? Adding to the mystery, there are several features within the formation that seem to defy natural explanations. Some of the stones have unusual carvings and grooves, which appear to have been deliberately chiseled into the rock. There are also straight lines and right angles, features that would be difficult for natural forces to create. In one area of the monument, there is what appears to be a smooth, man-made ramp rising from the ocean floor in a way that suggests it might have once been used to access the structure above the waterline. If this was indeed a man-made monument, then it would imply that an advanced society lived in this region long before the rise of known civilizations like those in ancient Mesopotamia or Egypt. On the other hand, some skeptics argue that the Yonaguni Monument is simply a natural formation, one that has been misinterpreted due to the human tendency to see patterns in the environment. Natural rock formations often create shapes and features that appear to be intentionally made, and the stepped formations of the Yonaguni Monument could be a result of natural tectonic movement and erosion. The uneven breaks in the stone could have created the appearance of terraces, and the grooves and carvings might simply be the result of underwater currents cutting through softer rock layers over millennia. Could our desire to find lost civilizations be leading us to see patterns that aren't truly there? Despite the debates surrounding its origins, the Yonaguni Monument remains an undeniable enigma. No definitive answer has yet been found to explain its true purpose or construction, and the mystery of whether it was created by human hands or formed by nature alone continues to captivate the imagination. Is the Yonaguni Monument a remnant of an ancient civilization, lost beneath the waves? Or is it merely a natural formation, shaped by the slow, steady forces of geology and time? As divers continue to explore its submerged terraces, and researchers analyze its structure from every angle, the Yonaguni Monument stands as a reminder of how much remains hidden beneath the surface. What secrets are buried in the deep waters of the Pacific? What other lost cities, technologies, or civilizations might still be waiting to be uncovered? In the vast, uncharted depths of our world, the Yonaguni Monument is a silent sentinel, inviting us to look closer and ask, what if the past we know is just the surface of something far greater, far older, and far more mysterious than we could ever imagine? In the remote highlands of Ethiopia, hidden within the heart of the rugged Lalibela Mountains, lies a complex of churches unlike any other in the world. Carved entirely from solid rock, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela stand as one of the most extraordinary and mysterious feats of engineering and devotion. There are 11 churches, all hewn from the same massive bedrock, intricately sculpted and connected by a network of tunnels and passageways that defy the technological capabilities of their time. For centuries, these churches have whispered their secrets to those who venture to this remote site, and yet the true story behind their construction remains as elusive as ever. The churches are carved in the shape of a cross, with each structure more elaborate and unique than the last. Their interiors are just as awe-inspiring as their exteriors. The carved walls bear intricate biblical scenes, religious symbols, and architectural details that speak of a craftsmanship far ahead of its time. The most famous of these churches, Bete Georgis, the Church of St. George, is perhaps the most striking. Unlike the others, Bete Georgis is a freestanding cross-shaped building that plunges downward into the earth, its roof level with the surrounding landscape. Visitors often stand in awe, peering down into the structure, wondering how ancient builders could have conceived such a monumental task without modern tools. The date of construction is one of the great mysteries surrounding Lalibela. Traditionally, the churches are believed to have been built in the 12th or 13th century during the reign of King Lalibela, a monarch credited with commissioning the churches as a New Jerusalem. According to legend, King Lalibela, seeking to create a place of pilgrimage for Ethiopian Christians after the Muslim conquests in the Holy Land, ordered the construction of these awe-inspiring churches to mimic those of Jerusalem. But the method of construction, particularly the carving of the churches from solid rock, raises immediate questions. How were these colossal structures created using only rudimentary tools and the knowledge of the time? Could such an undertaking have been possible without advanced engineering techniques or even external assistance? The sheer scale of the project is staggering. The churches are not simply hollowed-out caves. They are finely sculpted, three-dimensional masterpieces with walls, roofs, and floors all carved from the same continuous mass of rock. How did the builders manage to remove massive quantities of rock from such a dense, unyielding material without modern machinery? Was this work carried out over decades, or even centuries? And perhaps most importantly, what tools did they use to achieve such precision in their carvings? Some have speculated that the builders may have used a combination of primitive stone tools, while others suggest that they could have used bronze or iron chisels. Yet the level of sophistication in the designs, particularly in the precision of the curves, arches, and geometric shapes, suggests that the builders had knowledge far beyond what we traditionally associate with medieval Ethiopia. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Lalibela churches is the question of how they were excavated. The process must have required an extraordinary amount of labor and time, yet there is little archaeological evidence to explain how such a monumental task could have been accomplished with only manual labor. Some have even suggested that the construction of these churches may have been aided by lost techniques, potentially passed down from a more ancient and technologically advanced civilization. Could there have been a more sophisticated system of tools or engineering knowledge available to the builders of Lalibela, one that has been lost to history? Equally perplexing is the question of the purpose of these churches. While many scholars agree that the churches were intended to serve as a place of worship, pilgrimage, and religious significance, some have raised the possibility that the churches might have had another, more esoteric role. The careful alignment of the churches with astrological events and seasonal cycles suggests that the builders may have been aware of the celestial forces that governed life on Earth. Could the rock-hewn churches have also served as a spiritual observatory, used to track the movements of the stars, the sun, and the moon? Some researchers have even suggested that the churches may have been designed to align with ancient cosmic principles, representing the intersection of earthly life and the heavens above. Could this site have had a hidden astronomical purpose, a connection between the physical and spiritual worlds? Interestingly, there are also reports of mysterious underground tunnels connecting some of the churches at Lalibela, further adding to the enigma of the site. These tunnels, which stretch for miles beneath the mountains, are said to have served both ritualistic and practical purposes, facilitating the movement of priests, pilgrims, and supplies between the churches. However, their purpose is still widely debated. Some believe they may have been used as secret passageways, possibly to protect the churches from invading forces, or to serve as a form of ritual purification. Were these tunnels the remains of a lost, hidden network? Did they play a key role in the spiritual practices of the time? Additionally, there are intriguing stories surrounding the construction of Lalibela. According to local legend, the work was so immense that it required divine intervention. Some stories claim that angels helped carve the churches in the dead of night, while others suggest that miraculous tools or divine inspiration were involved. While these tales may be mythical in nature, they add to the sense that something extraordinary must have been at work in the creation of these sacred sites. What role did spirituality play in the construction of Lalibela? Were the people who built the churches guided by divine insight, or was this an expression of cultural and architectural mastery passed down over generations? Despite centuries of exploration and study, the mystery of Lalibela remains largely unsolved. Was it truly the work of one king, or was it part of a much older tradition, an enduring link to ancient civilizations whose knowledge has been forgotten? How did these ancient people possess the advanced engineering skills necessary to carve such monumental structures from solid stone? The questions are endless, and each new discovery only seems to deepen the mystery. As the sun sets over the rock-hewn churches, casting long shadows across the sacred site, the mystery of Lalibela lingers in the air. Could this be the work of a lost civilization with knowledge that transcends time? Or was it the product of an extraordinary cultural feat, achieved by a people whose ingenuity defies all explanation? The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela remain a testament to both the skill and the spirituality of their creators, and perhaps just as importantly, to the mysteries of history that have yet to be fully revealed. Hidden in the vast, desolate sands of the northern Sudanese desert, a series of ancient pyramids rise from the earth, casting their shadow over the landscape like silent sentinels of a forgotten empire. These are the Pyramids of Meroë, located in the Kingdom of Meroë, which flourished as part of the Kushite civilization from around 800 BCE to 350 CE. Unlike the more famous pyramids of Egypt, these structures remain largely overshadowed in historical and archaeological discussions, yet their mystery and grandeur are undeniable. The Meroë pyramids, though smaller in size, are no less imposing. Their sharply pointed tips and steep slopes form an iconic silhouette against the African sky. Over 200 pyramids dot the landscape near the ancient city of Meroë, a sprawling archaeological site once home to the Kushite kings and their elite. The pyramids themselves vary in size, with the largest structures being built for the royal family. The smaller pyramids are thought to be burial sites for nobles and high-ranking officials, their exquisite detailing offering a glimpse into the artistic and architectural achievements of this ancient kingdom. Unlike the smooth-sided pyramids of Egypt, the Meroë pyramids have steeper angles, with narrow, sloping sides. Their decoration, if present, is often minimalistic compared to the elaborate hieroglyphics seen in Egypt, though there are still fragments of carvings and reliefs that hint at their spiritual and royal significance. The stones used to construct these pyramids are coarse granite and sandstone, and many have been eroded by time and the harsh desert winds. Despite this, the pyramids still rise impressively, a testament to the engineering capabilities of the Kushite people. But the question remains, how did they achieve such precision, particularly in such a challenging environment? The story of the Kingdom of Meroë itself is a fascinating enigma. It was once a powerful civilization in its own right, located on the banks of the Nile River, and it thrived as a center of trade and culture for centuries. The kingdom's capital, Meroë, was an urban hub, with advanced technologies for iron smelting, along with a system of writing and a rich religious life. Yet, after the kingdom's decline, the details of its society and its eventual fall remain mysterious. Some scholars suggest that the fall of Meroë was due to internal strife, while others propose that the desertification of the region and the decline of its resources played a key role. Regardless, the ruins that remain, particularly the pyramids, remain eerily quiet, telling only fragments of a lost story. But as much as the architecture of Meroë impresses, it is the mysteries surrounding these pyramids that make them particularly captivating. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Meroë pyramids is their alignment. While much of the structure's layout follows conventional burial practices of the time, there are some aspects that suggest an astronomical connection. Could these pyramids have been aligned with the stars or other celestial bodies? Some researchers believe that the pyramids may have been designed to serve as more than just tombs. They may have been used for astronomical observation, or perhaps for ritualistic purposes tied to the movements of the heavens. The artifacts discovered in the pyramids are also revealing. Many of the tombs have yielded iron tools, weapons, and jewelry, which speaks to the advanced metalworking skills of the Meroitic civilization. The fact that iron was so prominent in the kingdom's material culture has led to theories that the Kushites of Meroë were among the first to master iron smelting on a large scale, long before many other ancient civilizations. This innovation in metallurgy may have played a pivotal role in the kingdom's strength and influence, but even more intriguing are the human remains found within the tombs. Skeletal evidence suggests that many of those buried in the pyramids were evidently of royal or elite status, as the graves show signs of careful preservation and protection from the elements. Yet very few of these graves have been completely excavated. What treasures, or secrets, might lie hidden in these untouched tombs? Adding to the enigma, some scholars have noted that the Meroë pyramids, with their precise proportions and geometric shapes, bear a striking resemblance to the pyramids of Giza, resemblance to certain Egyptian pyramids, particularly those from the Middle Kingdom period. This has led to speculation about cultural exchange or even shared engineering knowledge between the two civilizations. But how far did this influence extend? Could the Kushites have inherited advanced architectural techniques from Egypt? Or did they independently develop their own methods? What connections existed between these two great civilizations? Beyond the physical structure of the pyramids themselves, there are those who wonder about the ritual significance of Meroë's pyramids. The religious life of the Kushites was deeply intertwined with their kings and queens, who were believed to be divine or semi-divine figures. The burial practices within the pyramids reveal that the Meroites placed a great emphasis on the afterlife, surrounding their dead rulers with offerings, adornments, and sometimes even human sacrifices. Were the pyramids of Meroë designed to serve as more than mere tombs? Could they have been seen as symbolic gateways to the afterlife, acting as physical markers for spiritual and cosmic transitions? Despite the wealth of information about Meroë's architectural feats, we are left with far more questions than answers. The exact purpose of these pyramids remains speculative, and the motivations behind their construction continue to elude us. Did the builders of Meroë have esoteric knowledge, a deeper understanding of astronomy, mathematics, or even spirituality that has been lost to history? The sheer complexity of these structures suggests that the civilization that built them was not only technologically advanced, but deeply connected to forces beyond the physical world. Could there be more to the Meroë pyramids than what we see today? What mysteries might remain buried within their depths, awaiting discovery? The Pyramids of Meroë stand as a silent reminder of a once great civilization, its secrets buried beneath centuries of sand and time. As researchers continue to study the site, new discoveries may hold the key to unlocking the forgotten story of the Kushite people. For now, The pyramids remain, as they always have, enigmatic and untouched, offering only fleeting glimpses of their hidden truths to those willing to ask the questions. What is it that still lies beyond our understanding, waiting to be uncovered?